Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to season 4 of the OCL. My name is Diceheart, and with me today I have Most on the desk and the cast to bring us a few of these week 3 games. Most, how you going?
I'm very well. I'm excited to see what we have in store tonight. Some good matches, and I think it should be an entertaining stream.
I'm very excited. We know for a fact that our first tonight will be Threats versus It's a Wonderful Day for Pi, and I think a lot of people looking at the current season have probably seen those two rosters and gone, that's probably top two teams. I definitely think that there's one other team that we may not have to mention that might be in the top two right now.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
But yeah, I mean, that's a really exciting set that we've got in front of us right now. I think I'm really excited to see how these two teams go. Obviously, um, we've seen some of these players sort of on teams together before, so it's a bit of a mix-up for them here to have moved a few guys around and kind of share the knowledge around, I think.
Yeah, it's nice to see well, as we've seen the region in the past few, I don't know, competitive seasons, we've seen lots of the strength line one team, and it's nice to see that the strength's kind of been spread out a little bit now. There's more competitiveness amongst the league, and I
Mhm.
think both teams have a very stacked lineup, and it should be very close. I'm interested to see where the new patch takes these teams as well. We
Yeah.
haven't really seen too much of it, so it's going to be interesting to see how these teams have come accustomed to the new patch and
Mhm.
see what they I don't know can do with the new features.
Absolutely. All right. Very quick. I was about to say, yeah, I've been watching a bit of Masters recently, a bit of SCC on the new patch, and it looks very interesting. Some of the god picks and the gameplay and that. So it will be very exciting to see how the OCE players take it in that direction. Very quickly, just for those that are watching right now, remember that at the moment, Smite OCL are taking up the fight against motor neuron disease. Check out the link in chat there, and if you can support us, please do. Type !charity, or you can go into the Discord and click the info tab to find out a bit more information about that one. Any amount helps at all, and that would be fantastic. All right, let's check out the teams that we're versing tonight. I think that the first one we'll have a look at is probably. Well, I mean, we've got our matchup. We've got Threats versus Pi. Let's have a quick look over at Threats and see who we are looking at for tonight. So it will be Smelly Frenchman in the solo lane, Simply in the jungle, Tilly mid, Shank support, and Chompy ADC. I mean, we've seen these guys before. For how many seasons have we seen these guys?
Too long.
Mm,
We even have star power into the bench. Like this team has a very good selection of players, and I think yeah, the players that they have in their starting lineup will be doing a very good job. The the you could say the leader of the team in Shank has, I think, quite a good smite brain and should have a good idea of what to do on this new patch with all the new things on the map. So I'm interested to see if they can make the most of these new objectives, like the is it called the totem or the thing in mid lane?
the oh, what is it called? Yeah, that one. You know the one.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah,
That one.
seems to
Um,
be pretty important. So I'm interested to see if they play around that or if they're
the beacon. That's the one.
yes, the
Um,
beacon.
yeah, it makes the Titans start slapping each other at whatever point in the game.
Hmm.
Typically around 24 minutes. So yeah, it's very very similar to that Trebuchet, and I know that these guys have been practicing a lot in the new patch and trying to put together comps and teams that work. Well, sorry, comps and gods that work really well around that team fighting sort of aspect, which it feels like is really strong right now. Maybe a hyper carry god as well. Um, and you're right, Shank definitely sort of brings these guys together really nicely, has a lot of experience behind him, and being able to do that from the support area, have those comms looking really strong as well is obviously quite potent. On the other side, it will be it's a wonderful tee for Pi that they'll be playing into. We will see that it's Vemetron in the solo lane, it's your boy Sean jungle, Vintage 4 mid, Young Leg support, and Thagoras ADC. This is another power roster, I think, Most.
You can argue that the other team's stacked, but this team's just as stacked. Many names in here that we've seen throughout the previous seasons of the OCL and another competition, and I think the experience here amongst across all players will be a very very fun matchup to watch. We see the Bella new sub. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, obviously things were not working out perfectly with the Jack Martins. Has moved on to picked up immediately by Pi. So really good to see that he's still being valued as a high tier player, which is fantastic. Sean and Vintage were on that previous top team last season as well. This sort of transition over towards these guys, and I think personally that they've pulled out a lot of the really good players from previous seasons as well. They've grabbed young legs and put them into a really solid place in support. Thegoris is one of the best AD season OC by far and away. So, you know, this is going to be a great match. I'm very excited to see how sort of the leadership of Sean goes into the leadership of Shank and how things, play out between these two teams.
Yeah, I'd love to get into the picks and bans if we have that ready.
Let's jump in.
Very excited. I can't lie.
Be interesting to see. I'm keen to see which direction they go as well. We've got threats here in that first pick position. They're going to ban out this Ram immediately, so maybe trying to take the option away from Thegoris early. And as you mode banned away from by Pi here on the other side.
I think Shank has shown time and time again that he's very strong on the Umoja. And with the Hunter bans, like they still left click just the same as they did last patch. So yeah, I think it's
Absolutely.
a good idea to take some of the stronger ones away.
Very surprised about this Alcon ban. We've seen it being played a little bit in OC, but mostly back Path T. This Hell, though, has been looking strong this season. Definitely. I like to see that one banned away. So is this Raven. We're kind of going back into that scary meta where Raven is a bit ridiculous and a bit immortal at the moment. So
Shivers. I hate Raven when he's strong. It's so annoying.
Terrifying.
And I think you could have an argument for Alcon, seeing that there's like lots of strength in tanks at the moment, having an execute, and especially like a magical execute, seeing that the ADCs are so strong as well, like a good magical jungle option to take away is a good idea.
I'm a pretty big fan of that actually. I like that you can kind of change that option up in your jungle and have a hyper carry still, but you're right, as a magical god, as we see though that threats are going to immediately in that first pick slot lock in that Baba Yaga, and obviously still a very very potent god right now. Can still build prophetic cloak and stack it very quickly, but also has the E staff option, a lot of damage potential, but very hard to kill too.
Yeah, Baba Yaga very strong at the moment. I think it's a pretty good answer from Pi though with their top two picks. There's lots of strength in those two. Hachiman stands out at the moment. He doesn't. I don't think he like does anything insanely, but he just does lots of things very well. His ult is always a nice escape as well. So yeah, I think Hachi's a very nice pick.
Yeah, very safe god. And alongside that, Terra does look quite nice. Conversely, the threats are going very aggressive here. They've picked up the tier. Again, a very strong solo laner right now, very aggressive and disruptive in the backline. And they've paired it with this Nemesis in jungle, which is quite interesting. And Pi have taken the Kali for themselves here in that matchup. That's very interesting, Moss. I don't know who is going to really take that matchup. Obviously, Pi want to play for a very late game comp though.
Yeah, well, we can just put out a tier list, and Kali is the best god in the game apparently. So
Wow.
you can't argue there.
I mean, they've had one hyper carry jungler taken away from them in that Arkwang, so picking up that Kali, is definitely still a very strong option. It's going to pair fantastically with this Terra. Might have a bit of a tough time trying to kill this Baba Yaga. She's got fantastic self-peel in that ultimate. Looking at the second phase of bans, though, the Yanis Discordia banned away by threats here, and the Kernanos Chernobog, with this Nike now being hovered by Pi as well. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I like to see Nike come out. She does still feel quite strong in the solo lane. As a solo laner myself, I can tell you having a Nike that has a transcendence to jumping on you while also not dying is very, very annoying. So yeah, I like the look for the Nike, and it's not bad against kind of countering the dive that some of the characters like the tier and the nemesis have. Like you can just sit on your backline if you so choose to, and like use your two to push them away. Could be an option, I suppose.
Well, Pi seem to agree. Vemetron very likely to pilot that Nike in the solo lane there. And threats need their last two picks here. It's going to be the Shiba Lonke hovered alongside the Kuzumbo. That's spicy. I like the Shiba Lonke. We've seen, again, very strong late game hunters. The Hachiman is safe. The Shiba Lonke has that extra bit of power that we saw got kind of nerfed off of a lot of items. But this Kuzumbo lock is absolutely insane. What do you reckon, Moss?
It's so much displacement for a team that already has a lot of displacement. So I think the area control from the threats is just insane with a tier and a Kuzum. Like you're not going to be safe anywhere if you're on Pi.
Ooh, bit of a switch up to the Ulo hover here. I think you're right though that You know, this Carly really just wants to be able to get into the back line and have a great time against this Baba Yaga, but she self-peels. Now you've got a Kuzumbo to peel as well, a tier disrupting your back line. That Shibelonke was locked in, so again, another safe option against this Carly with that Rising Jaguar dash. And on the other side, Pi are going to hover this Zhong Kui, and they really want to go for just a hard all-in team comp by the looks of it here.
Yeah, I love the Zhongkui. It's a nice response to the dive from that threats have picked. Zhongkui can kind of just say, no, thank you. When someone dives you, you can pop your ult, you can stun them out with your three. Alongside a Nike and a Terra, I think the backline should be relatively safe. There's a few
Yeah.
questions about the dive from Pi though, with the tier and the Kuzin, because I wouldn't like to be playing Kali into a Kuzin, to be
Yeah,
honest.
it's going to be. I think this Carly, this Zhonghui probably also has a bit of a hard time playing into that Kuzenbo, that Baba Yaga, and that. But I mean, you know, if Pi have looked at that team comp and they've gone, they've got a lot of distance. So let's just get into their backline ourselves. Let's play the game that we want to play. Let's not worry about, you know, too much about what they've got. Let's play for ourselves.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I think both comps are pretty open-ended. There's lots of possibility.
Yeah.
We haven't seen too many, like a few of these picks a whole lot. We've seen some of the picks out of threats quite a bit, like Tilly on the Bubba. It seems that he's very comfortable on that. And the house is also always going to be strong, especially with
Oh
the
yeah.
build path at the moment on Bubba. She feels really nice with the prophetic. Yeah, I think Akali should be able to stick to her, but then I suppose I'm not really thinking about the defense. That's kind of rough for the Kali.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. You know, she's going to have a bit of a hard time. You're right as well. Tilly, a known Baba Yaga player, that's for sure. So definitely going to be quite interesting to see how that one goes out. I can't imagine that Tilly's going to have a bad game on this god. I don't think I've ever seen it happen. So definitely a god to watch out for. Maybe, you know, the Pi boys are going to have to send Vematron in, try to force out that house early, try to, you know, force out that Baba Yaga ult early, and then get the Kali into a lot more damage into that backline like that. Maybe send a few waves basically of frontliners in to deal with it. But we'll have to see. It's very shortly we'll be jumping into game number one. Mosso, looking at those team comps, which team would you have to give it to? Threats versus Threats or Pi?
Oh, it's tough. I think there's good
Mm.
potential from both drafts, but I like the area control and the kind of backline safeness from the threats draft. So I'd have to say that. Threats for me. What about yourself?
Threats for you. I'm a big fan of what the Threats have drafted up here. I like that he's going to be piloting a very comfortable pick like this Baba Yaga, but I think that maybe Pi have got a bit more spice going on here, and I think that Sean on this Carly, if you let him go off, he's going to pop off. So I think I'm going to have to give it to Pi for game number one here.
Ooh, we'll have to
Spice.
wait and see.
All right, well, we are jumping into game number one here between Threats, and it's a wonderful day for Pi. Right, now should be very, very exciting to see which direction both of these teams go in. Already seeing Shank pushed up a little bit here, and a war flag for Young Legs. We did see that this item got a bit of a change up. We've seen a few supports kind of picking it up. I'm not the biggest fan of it though. I don't know that it provides enough in lane that, you know, it's worth losing all of that gold that you're losing off of it.
Yeah, that's up to you. I'm not a support player. I suppose you have the more knowledge when it comes to that. Um, but I have played a bit of support here and there, and I think the passive from the upgraded war flag, the one that gives your team extra damage, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken, is
Yep.
very nice.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I would trust Young Legs to be goated on the picks, so I'm gonna let him run with it. Um, it should be very interesting. Both of these hunters as well going straight into these Devo gloves, very standard at the moment. And Bluestone on both of the solo laners as well. So very consistent builds across the board here. I think that just this Vampiric Shroud on the Zhonghui, again, very exciting stuff to see.
Mm. There's honestly great matchups in every role. Um, I'm super excited to see if anything happens in the solo lane between Roy and Vematron.
Mhm.
Should be an awesome lane to watch. Also, the jungle, you can't forget that. Simply and Sean, both
Simply and
very
Sean,
skilled. I'm
absolutely.
very excited to see how this game plays out.
Yeah, definitely two of our strongest junglers at the moment in OCE, and seeing them match up against each other, you've got a very sort of mid-game jungler in this Nemesis, decent in the early game as well, versus this Carly, who is a powerhouse late-game jungler. So it's going to be very exciting to see how each of these players decide to play the matchup and whether or not they want to focus on the late game or the mid game. I would expect that Sean is just going to be focused so hard on farming right now and just asking his team to survive without him for a little while, though.
Yeah, and going back to the matchups, I think everybody has a lot of a gigantic amount of experience in their role. The only question mark you can put there is Young Legs. He's kind of new to support in the competitive scene so far, and
Yep.
I think he's had a good showing so far. But these are the matches that are going to test him, I suppose, as a new support in the big games. We'll have to wait and see if he can pilot the Terra to success.
Yeah, had a bit of a chat with him actually. Just, you know, it obviously is not a role that we've seen Young Legs in before, this support in OCL at the very least. So checked in and just went, you know, how you feeling about it? And he goes, yeah, you know, I've been absolutely spamming out the ranked gameplay and looking fantastic on it and having a great time. So he seems very confident going into this support role at the moment. Ooh, low health is Vemetron over in the solo lane. Sean over here though, just securing down this cooldown camp, so shouldn't be in too much trouble, but it seems like Smelly Frenchman's having a pretty good time over here against this Nike right now.
I think that's a very worthwhile rotation from Sean. Seeing with all the new timers in the jungle, if you have the time to stray from your mids and go and pick up the cooldown buff in solo, it's very useful. There's so much farm up in jungle at the moment, and I think...
Ooh, Thunder out from Shank, pushes Young Legs into the wall there. Looks like a bit of a horrific traded out there though to keep Young Legs alive. Loses a bit of health, but Shank very willing to play this lane aggressively. Didn't even notice that he had the Thunder, so really wants to play this one aggressive and look for early picks.
Yeah, as you would on a Kuzumbo. Who would have thought? Umoja off the board.
Crazy.
Yeah, give me the turtle. Why not? I suppose it does offer quite a few nice things. Yeah, Kuzumbo is always a fun pick, and I'm sure that Shank has more thought to it than I do. I kind of just like trying to push people through things and doing tons of damage, but yeah, I'm sure there's more to it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's going for some interesting target selection here. It looks like he just wants to be able to catch Young Legs out of position a little bit, try to force this support into a bad place, and just prevent the Gorus from getting as much farm as he could. But yeah, Shank playing very aggressively right now, just facilitating Chompy. I'd imagine that they're going to try and get this next shield buff as well, and it will be hard as well, even if Sean comes over, for him to try to outsecure with the disrupt that this Kuzumbo has.
Yeah, definitely. But there's so much farm up at the moment, at this point in Smite. Does a jungler have that time, or is that more up to the duo partnership to secure those shield buffs?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's right. That's the question at the moment, is with all of that farm, is it worth it? It definitely feels like a lot of junglers are prioritizing it in the mid game. We're seeing Sean actually making a bit of a rotation to this side of the map. Maybe going to opt not to come over to it though, as even Tilly's a little bit in the area going towards these mid camps. But yeah, I think just facilitating your ADC to the best of your ability and forcing the other ADC down seems to be a very strong play that you can make at the moment, and that shield buff seems to be the way that a lot of teams want to do it.
Definitely. Looking at these two team comps, we know that there's a prevalence of, like, there's a very big priority on farming, seeing there's so much up at the moment. Who would you prefer in your mid 3v3 to have for securing mid camps and gaining general map gold?
Look, I like this Zhonghui a lot for it. I definitely think that the Simply Tilly combo of the Nemesis Baba Yaga is quite potent for being able to secure out mid camps, but you know, the Zhonghui has a lot of his own CC and peel and self protection and that as well. So also, if you're trying to contest mid camps against a Zhonghui and he decides to pop his ult, you're now in a terrifying position. So you know, basically a bomb waiting to go off on that Zhong.
Yeah, we did see his passive get a little buff as well, I'm pretty sure. The Demon Bag got all, like, either the bag itself got more stacks or the stacks provides a slight amount more protections now as well, I believe. So Zhonghui does feel quite nice.
Roy, very low health here. Vemetron looking for the dive. He's going to look for a little bit more damage. One more hit will do it. And first blood goes to Vemetron. It's a wonderful day for Pi. Soloed out is Smelly Frenchman, and that's a huge play there by Vem.
That's hype. That's very nice to see.
Bit of a 1v1 here between Sean and Simply. Tilly making the rotation over as well, looking for this Carly. Going to try to potentially dive this tower. No. Saved out there by Vintage. Ultimate coming out from the Nemesis, trying to dive, and now to turn around. Vintage throws out his ultimate, looking for Simply here. Shank in the backline, won't be able to find much. Blink out from Sean, and he finds the kill onto Simply now. Shank the target as he crashes, but he's managed to pull Sean underneath tower, takes the tower shot, still living though, juking out of Tilly, but there's the ultimate. The house doing so much work into the backline here. Sean so low health, one more tick might just do it, but the Kali actually going to live here as Young Legs dives underneath the tower looking for a bit of CC, won't be able to find it. But that's a huge kill there for Pi, as now their lead goes even further beyond, and they're able to find a good bit of farm in this early game and keep Sean alive. Now 900 gold in the lead.
Sean's got the happy feet, dude. He was moving. He could not get hit by that Baba Yaga ult. It'd probably be very tilting as Tilly. You have such a large area that you can damage with that Baba ult. Sean just tap danced around that and got out. It was very nice.
That was crazy. I saw that Baba Yaga ult come out and I went, this Carly's dead, there's no way. And you're right, Sean had those happy feet, he just kept moving and he managed to survive it. So really good play there by Sean. I think if Sean had died there, that's really not great for Pi because they need this Carly to just keep living and keep farming. He picked up that kill in that fight there as well, that's huge. So facilitating this Carly and let her get ahead is massive. I think Tilly's probably kicking himself a little bit that he wasn't able to lock down that kill. Yeah,
very tough. It's good to see that you're getting an early kill on the Kali as well. I'm not sure if that was his target, but yeah, it's super important for a Kali to start the game off well. Nice cheeky little pick like that.
Absolutely, love to see that, and Sean very likely to just keep pushing out into this late game as we're seeing a bit of a conflict here over the purple buff. Shank has managed to successfully steal away the
bully.
He is a bully. I mean, that's, you know, that's what you get with these top tier supports like Shank who know the timers and know how to completely bully someone out on a very disruptive god like that Kuzenbo.
It's just silly of Thegoris to think that he could do Shank's purple. That's...
Yeah, silly boy. Silly boy. Should have known that that's Shank's purple buff.
Yeah.
Coming into, well, getting close to the mid game now. No one quite hitting level 10 yet, despite the fact that Sean has a kill on him as well, and Simply's actually, well, the one that spilled there, still even in the jungle by the looks of it. So a very close game right now. About 1,000 gold in the lead are the Pi boys, but do you think, Moss, is there a way, or what do you think Threats are going to do to try to find their way back into this game or to force a lead from here?
Well, as we spoke to Thegoris, I'm not sure if it was last week or the week before, he said he's happy to farm. That was on a Jing Wei, given that, but I suppose the Hachi kind of has a similar amount of escapability, not as much, but with the Hachi ult, he can play pretty safe in lane and be, I don't know, reasonably chill if he tries to get ganked. So we could see them play through other lanes as they have done in the past, but yeah, I don't know. It seems there's a bit of trouble in the solo lane. Nike from ahead is never fun.
Yeah, we'll it's terrifying for this tier. I mean, you know, this tier has been almost, you know, the top pick jungler, sorry, the top pick solo laner for a little bit here. So seeing this Nike kind of get a good position over it is quite interesting. I think you're right as well. This Hachiman's so safe, so it's really hard for the Threats to just pick where they want to go and where to put the pressure on right now.
Definitely. Maybe we'll see a larger priority around all the mid camps that are coming up, or you never know, Shank might just keep coming to that purple as we've seen him do before.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty early at the moment, so we'll have to see.
It is quite early. I would imagine that the first objective is going to be our big difference maker here to determine which team is really going to take the lead in this game. You know, Pi seem to have the better angle on farming at the moment, a little bit of a lead off the back of those kills, but you're right that the next objective is really going to have a big impact. It's simply making a rotation over towards this solo lane, maybe looking for Vematron, but Vem is going to spot that one out and actually eats the Nemesis ult, sorry, jumping away from this one. Will not be stunned out by tier ult there, pops his own ult. Nice and safe as this Nike, and that's actually a big rotation for Simply to have made, and now we're seeing the Pi responding. Vintage Cow is going to go over towards this duo lane side of the map and look for Chompy potentially a stun out onto Shank there, but Shank is still in the area. Chompy able to dash away very safely there. Looks like shield buff was actually secured away by Threats there though, I think.
Yeah.
Chompy managed to get it.
I think that was well played by Chompy. As a Zhong Kui, you're just waiting for someone to dash, but he held that for a long time and didn't allow Vintage to get anything out of that rotation.
Vintage now in a little bit of trouble. Has to pop his ult as he was pushed into the wall there by Shank. A lot of disrupt coming out from this Kuzenbo with the ult, doing so much damage. Shank though, he's going to throw his own ult out, and there's the house coming out from Tilly. Blink out as well. Sean deep into the backline here is throwing out the Kali ultimate, looking for a little bit of damage, and Shank will fall. Vintage 4 credited with that kill. Now Tilly outside of his own ultimate in a little bit of trouble here, would be able to get himself underneath the tower, but the dive is on. Vematron has made a huge rotation over here as well. Vematron picks up Tilly. However, Smelly Frenchman is here. Is he enough to 1v4 here? Forces the beads out of Vintage. Vintage and takes a lot of damage for his trouble. Young Legs not going to be knocked up there with that Terror passive, and another 2 kills for Pi, potentially walking their way over towards this Gold Fury as Vem is backing.
I think it's still a bit of a risky play to pick up the gold, seeing that they're all kind of low. Tia can do quite a lot of damage at this point in the game.
Ooh, the ultimate out from Roy there as well from Smelly Frenchman, just trying to make sure that no one's on that green buff, see if he can pick anybody out of position doing something silly.
Yeah, I love the target priority from Pi in that fight. Clean target priority. They all focus the same target, one by one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, you know, it looked like a bit of a wild fight going on there. We saw a lot of big ultimates, the Zhonghui ult, the Baba Yaga ult, so you're right that it's hard to focus down one person and decide who you want to target down, but you're absolutely right that Pi made the right decisions. They got one person after the next, you know, made sure that Simply fell first so that the Baba Yaga ult would run out, then they could target the Baba Yaga. Excellent rotation from Vemitron as well, just showing that he's got that lead and he can rotate out a lot faster than Smelly Frenchman Camera.
Yeah, despite that, we do see some level disparity in the duo lane. The Shibalonke climbing ahead just ever so slightly, and I suppose that is a nice thing for the threats. They haven't been too successful in these mid-team fights just so far, but Chompy's holding his own on the farm. It's a good way back in.
Bit of a ward war over this Gold Fury at the moment. Just both supports making sure that they've got the vision where they need it right now. Shank, great awareness as always. Actually noticed exactly when the ward was going to come down from Young Legs there. But yeah, it definitely looks like both of these teams want to focus their pressure over towards either the Stygian Beacon that's about to spawn or around this Gold Fury. Looks like Threat's going to be first one over towards this Beacon, simply pushed up quite aggressively, but Pi are here and a lot of poke coming out already. Vemitron, again, has made this rotation over and Sean in the area too, simply down to about half health, but Shang manages to get in behind and pull in Vintage definitely coming out from the Nike, but Smelly Frenchman has found a huge stun into the backline there, and the stun has made a huge difference. Sean, though, able to find the counter kill onto Tilly. Shank is going to be able to pull Young Legs underneath the tail, but isn't enough as Sean going to dive in, looking for his ultimate here, and a lot of damage coming out. Chompy's made a rotation, but he's taking so much damage for his trouble here. Great root coming out there as well as Young Legs has found his well deep into the backline there. Vemitron picks up Chompy now, simply the target of the aggression. Great push there from Shank, though, keeps his jungler alive for a little bit longer. Vemitron not going to be able to dive in and pick up that kill. Frenchman, Smelly, still here as the Beacon very likely to go in favor of Wonderful Day for Pi. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but the Beacon in favor of Pi there. Also, it's a 2-for-1 trade.
Interesting.
That's really good for Pi.
Both teams have such good tools for fighting over this Beacon. Like, so much space control from the Zhonghui, from the Terra, from the Baba Yaga, from the Kuzin. So it's like really interesting to watch these fights because it seems so close, but it just one pick is all it takes, as we can see.
Yeah, a very mechanical game, it seems like, as you're right, that both teams have very similar comps that want to brawl, want to disrupt, want to fight. So it really is coming down to, by the looks of it, Pi are just making excellent target selection. As well as that, we're seeing so much targeting coming out into this Zhonghui, but he just pops his ult and survives. The Smelly Frenchman now in a little bit of trouble here. Sean made a bit of a rotation over, but simply in the area too, should be able to keep Smelly Frenchman out of any danger here. This Tier's just having a bit of a hard time in lane at the moment against this Nike. 3-0 on Vemitron.
Yeah, Vem's playing very well, and you could not pay me to fight into a Zhonghui ult and Terra ult. Like,
oh, absolutely
screw
not.
that.
You just get bursted down so quickly into that right now. Pyro is up, so is the Gold Fury. Threats, they're getting their wards out still. About a 2k lead in favor of Pi at the moment, but Threats are certainly not dissuaded from being around these objectives. Do you expect Moss for them to sort of give up a Gold Fury if Pi pull it and just grab the Pyromancer, or do you think that with the way these brawls are going, they're still going to try to contest gold?
I'm honestly not sure. I think both options are fine. You see a little bit of disparity in the XP and level, so it wouldn't be that terrible of a call to just give and keep farming, but I think I have an inkling they'll probably contest. We've seen the fights be pretty intense so far, like 5v5 over that Beacon just before, so... Yeah, I don't know if they will give up.
Ultimate coming out from Simply there, looking for the Glorious. He's going to force out the Hachiman ult there, which is really big, as Sean also is going to be sundered here and pulled in by Shank. I believe he might have used his beads there as well. No, still has that relic. Well, it's down at the moment, but it certainly wasn't popped there. We'll be up shortly. Shield buff is going to go in favor of Threats here, and they're making a good bit of grouping to play around this Gold Fury. Vintage in the area, though, looking to poke out Simply a little bit. Great stun coming out from Young Legs, and Simply has been poked down. Chompy, though, is going to pop his ultimate from across the map, and there goes the Zhonghui ult once more. Not able to find any targets here, though. Very likely threw it out still blind, and now Shank is going to pull Vintage in once more. Tilly just looking for a little bit of extra poke at the moment, and is going to be able to find a fair bit of it as Chompy's making a rotation over as well. Root out from Young Legs, big grouping around this Gold Fury, but not going to be pulled by either team just yet.
Yeah, we're seeing so much effort being put in by the Kuzenbo to just disrupt and be annoying and kind of just be a little pest in their backline, but why not just have a terror? Like, you don't need to do as much work. You can just press 4. So it's kind of interesting to see the support matchup.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the support matchup and the kind of, interesting picks that Pi have gone with here in this Nike, and the Terra versus the Kuzenbo as well. It's exciting to see these teams sort of play very, very different comps as Gold Fury. Actually being started up here by Pi, maybe trying to catch threats a little bit unawares. Gold Fury down to half health. Them doing his best to zone out here, but Smelly Frenchman and Shank have managed to find their way into this one. Ultimate coming out from Smelly Frenchman as well, as Pi are able to secure down this Gold Fury, but is it going to be enough, or is the fight going to go in favour of threats as in goes Sean? A little bit of trouble here. Tilly, his ultimate for Vematron actually manages to find Simply in the backline there. Vintage in a lot of trouble here as the ultimate coming down for the Baba Yaga is doing a lot of work. Great double stun there out of Young Legs, though. Might just keep his mid laner alive. Tilly dashes in. The counterplay trying to be found there, though. Vematron in a little bit of trouble, still very healthy on this Nike. It's a 1-for-1 trade when the Gold Fury goes in favour of It's a Wonderful Day for Pi. Disengage coming out very shortly from both teams here. 3k gold in the lead of Pi now, though.
I think very well played from both teams. Vematron doing his utmost to just make the Baba Yaga have no impact, but Tilly is still finding a way to get into the fight and get kills. It's quite impressive.
Yeah, that was it was a bit of a crazy 50-50. I think it's really, really hard when you've got, again, as we've talked about so much, this tier Kuzenbo disrupt is really potent. So the fact that those two golds went in and Pi was still able to secure that objective is pretty insane. But as we saw, that disrupt is also very potent for displacing particular individuals, and that's why we saw the fight absolutely go in the favor of threats after the fact. Maybe they could have looked to a tower or something there, but they did lose a little bit of health. I definitely think that they're going to want to contest this Pyromancer next, though.
Definitely. It's always a very nice way to start a team fight with a 3-man tier ult stun as well. So that was very nice from Frenchman as well.
Ooh, Vam in a little bit of trouble here, surrounded by 3 as he's going to be fearless into that wall. Great stun, though, coming out from Young Legs is going to interrupt all of that and allow Vam to jump out of trouble there. Pyromancer position definitely in favour of threats here. If they've started it up, Sean, Young Legs, and Vintage are in the area, though. It's going to make it very, very difficult here as Shank again finds a target to pull out of position. It is Sean, though, so he's able to jump out safely. Chompy's going to pop the ult, and there goes Smelly Frenchman deep into the backline once more. Simply going to pop his ult and try to take the 1v1 with Sean. Is it safe, though? As Fire Giant is actually taking down, he's actually damaging down Simply. The ultimate coming out from Sean as well, looking for the 1v1. He's going to force Simply away. Meanwhile, the ultimate coming out from the Zhonghui is doing a lot of work into the front line here of the threats, boys. Looking for it. Tilly able to find Vintage 4 with that damage now. Vematron unable to poke out anybody here. The health bars are a little bit low, but Tilly still healthy enough to stick around this Pyromancer. It's a 1-for-0 trade there by the threats, but they're not able to pick up Pyro just yet.
I'm loving these team fights. They seem like they can go any way. It's so much fun to watch. I think the two junglers just politely opting out of the fight was good for the state of the little brawl there, but yeah, very nice from the Baba Yaga to just find that damage.
Rude of the Fire Giant to interrupt that 1v1 though, how dare he? Yeah, go on.
Oh, it's an interesting trade to watch. It's like, what would you rather, have a Nem shield or a Kali ult in a 1v1? And they kind of just butted heads there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We're seeing now Sean pulling a little bit further ahead though, has a 2-level lead on Simply right now. So, it is definitely a hard 1v1 to predict the outcome of, but as this Kali gets further and further ahead, it's going to be very hard for this Nemesis. However, this Kali in a little bit of trouble here. Young Legs doing, again, a fantastic job of just protecting his Kali there, is simply looking for that double dash in, trying to find a little bit of damage. Turn around here by Sean, though, as Vematron's made a rotation over and pops his own ultimate. The Gorus has been altered there by the Nemesis beast coming out from Simply as well. Will keep him out of trouble from that stun there, as the ultimate popped by Young Legs is deep into the backline here. Vematron underneath the T1 tower. See the return ultimate pop there as Tilly just trying to keep himself alive. Vematron in a little bit of trouble. Will be able to jump away from this one. Young Legs still here to protect his team. Healthy still of the threats, boys. They might be able to look for Pyro here. And Gold Fury's on the respawn. They're actually going to pick up Oris.
Is this a super early gold fight? Or is this just what everybody falls victim to sometimes? Just a bit of meaningless fighting?
Yeah, look, this is definitely... Oh, Vematron in a little bit of trouble, a little bit small CC will do it. A Smelly Frenchman able to find that kill. Vematron was just sticking around for a little bit too long. It is a massive pick. A Smelly Frenchman deep into the backline once more, looking for Sean there. And I don't think Theg realizes that he's got a tier behind him as Gold Fury's been started up here by Threats. Young Legs making a rotation in. I don't think he's got the damage to steal this one away though, Moss. He is going to walk up, but Sean in the area as well, too low. They're going to have to back off, and Threats are going to get this Gold Fury.
Daddy Shank is here. Everyone's safe. It's okay.
Too true. Gold Fury
Yeah, we
down
see
there by Threats.
we see the Nike was so big, and all that fighting, tears caught up. Nike took a spill, and the game is more even than ever. That was such a large character on the map.
Oh, Smelly Frenchman going to take a little bit of poke there. We're seeing the potency of this Zhonghui has managed to managed to stun out here underneath his tower there, and I have a feeling this Zhonghui is just going to get more and more damage on board. And be really, really potent going into the late game here. But you're right that this Nike tier matchup is basically even once more.
How many? Was it just the one solo kill?
Yes.
Doesn't matter anymore.
So. Doesn't matter anymore. We are going to see though, Pi are the ones to pull this Pyromancer, knowing that Threats weren't in a great position to contest this one. Chompy's going to throw out his ultimate, and so too though is Shank. Smelly Frenchman ult into the backline. With that Lawbringer, Vintage though is going to pop his ultimate, and now Sean into the backline as well, looking for Smelly Frenchman. Very low health is the tier, and the damage is firing out everywhere. Young Legs does fall to Shank there as the ultimate's dropped everywhere. Sean trying to find his way into Tilly there, is simply going to be able to pick up Vintage. Simply low health being chased down by Thagora. There, the ultimate coming out, and the horse is too potent. It simply goes down now. Shank, Chompy in so much trouble. Wellfire out of position as Vematron's looking for a little bit more. Aegis popped by Chompy there. Tilly able to pick up Thagora. One more bit of damage onto this ADC will do it a Sean, and Vem are chasing it down. Great bit of jukes though coming out from Chompy. He's able to get out of house a little bit. No, he will fall there too. Vematron looking for a little bit more. That was a crazy, crazy fight there, but Threat's able to pick up the Pyromancer, and we're seeing now how close this game is.
Yeah, it ends up rather even though. 3 for 3. No, neither team can really do too much after.
His beads here in a bit of trouble right now, trying to get the poke on, and he will be able to find Sean there. Vematron not able to keep Sean alive. He's going to be able to jump in looking for Tilly here, but Tilly should be safe enough and healthy enough to get under his tower. That's crazy.
Insane. Very well played. Tilly seems very, very comfortable on the Baba Yaga, and it being such a strong pick.
Yep.
Maybe Pi should look to take that away in the second game.
I would hope so. That it doesn't matter who wins this game. You can't let Tilly pilot this Baba Yaga, I don't think. Just looking too strong on it right now. And you're right, just he had the knowledge that he would be able to have enough damage to kill Sean there, and would not at all be threatened by Vematron with the fact that he's got a fully stacked Prophetic Cloak right now.
Yeah, and now 22 minutes into the game, we're pretty much even. So it's gonna be very interesting to see which way this plays out.
You're right.
Well, I suppose you could say the Fire Giant's the next thing up, so
yeah,
maybe they'll look towards that.
We are coming up to our next Stygian Beacon respawn, which means that if one of the teams can get themselves around this, that should be the third one, as Ultimate coming out from Simply here, looking for the Goris, is going to force the ult out from the Hachiman once again, but Blink coming out from Simply as well. He's still looking for it. He's going to be able to get that slow off on that Slice and Dice Theg. He's able to dash into the jungle and find Sean there to keep him alive. Stun coming out from the Kali as well will force Simply away here, and the rotation coming out from Young Legs too means that Shank is stunned away. Thegoris will live, but a lot of resources used there to keep the ADC alive.
Yeah, surprising. It's good that Sean shows up there with the kind of get off my boy play. Would have been terrible to see Thegoris take a tumble there, because that could have just been a free path straight to fire.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's good to see that he didn't get picked there.
I mean, you know, and Simply had to use a lot of resources for that himself. He had to use that beads, had to use that blink as well to try to find that kill. And, you know, the immediate beads coming out as well, he had to keep himself safe, but it just shows that he does not want to take a 1v1 with Sean, you know, despite who else might be in the area. And I think that's definitely the safe play for him, but it's a bit scary going into this late game for sure.
Definitely. We see the Wingblade coming out from the Nemesis as well, which is not something I would have thought to build if I was playing Nemesis, but why do you think he's got that one there?
On the Nemesis, I mean, there's a few slows coming out. I have to imagine that the big one is probably, you know, you've got Terror auto attacks, Hachiman, ult. Vematron's got a lot of potential with his slows here. Stun out onto Smelly Frenchman on this T1 tower. As we've seen the TP come out, Shank. He's going to pull in Young Legs there and look for a little bit of damage off the back of Simply. There's definitely a lot of slow potential on this team. Even just Terror auto attacks can slow you as well. So I don't mind it too much. Maybe just trying to find any advantage possible over Sean, who is just constantly looking for these 1v1s though.
Yeah. The Baba Yaga beads only just coming up now, just in time for this beacon, but we still see no relics for the Nem, so I'm surprised that Oh, I don't think
On
they'll let
into
them
the
step
back
in.
line, ultimate coming out from the Jonkwei once more, looking for anything, but is just stuck in front of tanks there as Chompy's going to pop his ult and just completely blind out the team here.
Vintage.
Chompy in a lot of trouble as Vintage diving into the back line, but he won't be able to pick up the kill to Gorus, however, will. Vintage did fall, so it's a 1v1 trade right now, but Tilly is going to throw out his own ultimate. The home, sweet home is good. The Gorus barely unable to find that kill there, and now Young Legs is going to be chased down here. Good stun there, Fematron in the area still as well, but the Stygian Beacon's going to go in favor of Threats, and they definitely won that fight.
It's interesting to see these two teams, two of the stronger teams, two of the teams that we expect to have a better grasp on this new meta, literally fighting over the beacon as hard as they would a Fire Giant. So yeah, everyone take notes. This is it.
Yeah, you know, I definitely think that if you're confident in your team fight, then, you know, it's worth fighting over the beacon. As we saw in the early game, Pi were very confident in the team fight and definitely had that beacon pressure, but now, you know, Threats just kept rocking up to it, keep going there and forcing out pressure, throwing out those ults, and, you know, their team fight is definitely winning at the moment in this late game.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many have gone to which side. Maybe we could have a little look on someone, on anyone really. But I'm pretty sure it's 5% damage to structures per beacon captured and 1% move speed.
1% movement speed per beacon, I think, yeah.
And that adds up. Like,
Well, the Titans have been unleashed. Walking down the mid lane,
down
actually.
mid where they've been. They're bringing the fight to the arena in mid.
A little bit scary here, but yeah, it is an arena game in mid right now as Vematron's going to be fearless out here. Should be stunned down is Smelly Frenchman. And it's going to be a brawl once more in the mid lane, very likely. As Thunder's going to come out onto Izzy Boy Sean. Tilly forced up into that home sweet home ultimate very early, but still chunking out a little bit of damage into the backline of Pi here. That ult being down might be the difference maker as the Titans, the Chaos Titan, a little bit of trouble, will start to take a lot of damage here from Chompy. But Order side, Threats, Titan may now be in a little bit of trouble as well. Both teams, they really want this fight around these Titans that are brawling right now. As Shank able to find the pull into Vematron into the backline, Smelly Frenchman goes in and the ultimate pop by Chompy as well. Completely blinds out the Pi boys. No hard commit to this fight though. Will Threats push with their Titan, do you think, Moss?
Definitely. Well, why not? Oh, no. I mean,
Oh,
no, they definitely won't.
No, why would they do that?
Yeah. Titans are sick for sieging. Like, they're very tanky. They hit the bastions. What more could you ask for?
Just smart Titan gameplay. Look, it is a Gold Fury angle here for Threats as well, and, you know, opting to use that Titan pressure. They saw how the team fight went. They used a lot of resources in that fight as well. So opting to go towards that Gold Fury, I think, is still really smart, and definitely keeps them on the board here, about 2 and a bit K in the lead at the moment are Threats, but still, this game is anybody's, and I would say that this Pyro Fire that's coming up shortly is going to make a huge difference as to where this game's going to go.
Definitely. I don't know. I don't think we'll see like the Vematron Nike ult and the Baba Yaga ult be just expended so early in the fight, because that fight just petered out. And that's something that the Baba Yaga ult could have been so useful for. If he held onto it a little bit longer, that fight could have possibly swayed more in their favor.
Yeah, it was a very early pop there by Tilly to throw out that home sweet home and start doing damage. It wasn't quite able to be potent enough into the backline there, as Pi were not overly committed to protecting their Titan just yet at the time, so they were able to back off there. And, you know, the Titan, it's an interesting fight because you don't really need your Titan to live in that scenario. Vematron's going to be ulted down here by simply forced to use his own ultimate, as well as simply going to dive the tower looking for a few more auto attacks. Can't hard commit to this one as the tower shots will come through. This right side T1 very likely to fall as Chompy's made a rotation, and Threats are putting a lot of pressure around this Fire Giant.
Yeah, and I really like to see the Seer of the Jungle pick up from the Nemesis as well in these like long-winded vision wars. The Seer of the Jungle is so nice, just to, he'll be screaming at his team like, leave that off me, leave that guy.
Yeah, I got it,
I need my prop. I need my prop. But if he gets that prop, it's just free sentries all over the board, as you can see. Yeah, destroying the vision.
Yeah, it is destroying the vision. It's making a huge difference there for Simply. As well as that as well, we're seeing a few new items come through. We've got that Pridwin Relic available on both supports here, actually, as Shank once more is going to be able to find Young Legs here in that dash. Pulls in a position, but Young Legs pops his own ultimate there. Keeps himself pretty healthy, but that's a big ultimate down. A Smelly Frenchman looks for Sean and able to find that fearless under him. Vematron now in a little bit of trouble. Shank again disrupting the front line here, forces another ultimate out as Vematron now in a little bit of trouble. Smelly Frenchman ulting into the back line there. That fearless doing a lot of work, but Smelly Frenchman is so much trouble here as the auto attacks are just ripping through. Chompy though stepping up here. did throw his own ultimate out there. Sean waiting around this corner, wants threats to dive the T2 tower, but they're going to back off, maybe look for the Fire Giant now.
Just another fight, just that peters out. Not too many
Mhm.
picks, just lots of resources expended, but the Terra ult going down so early in the fight, just from getting kind of caught out of position. I feel like if you were the threats, you want to do more with that fight, seeing that the Terra ult's not there. But yeah, shame to see they couldn't do too much without it.
Yeah, I mean, look, and we're seeing Shank play this so intelligently. He just constantly is looking for pulls on frontliners. He found it onto Young Legs there, and you're right, forced out that Terra ult early. Then he did it to Vemitron and forced out the Nike ult. So you're right that threats, I think, when they want to press this gas pedal, they know that Shank will be able to find people, get them out of position, force an ultimate out, and then they just have to be able to go off the back of that. As now Sean gonna poke out Smelly Frenchman a little bit here, and both teams are gonna group towards fire. It's an EFG that's up right now, and no one's taken fire yet this game, despite the fact that EFG is currently available.
Yeah, that's such a solo laner thing to do. I do that as well. It's like you're like, oh, this is just like near my lane. I can walk around here for free. But when fire's up, there's going to be 5 people hiding behind a rock. Like, you got to be very careful in that situation.
You never expect to walk into a Carly and you're, right next to your lane as a solo laner, but there she was. As the aggression coming in, Vemitron looking for Tilly in the backline is going to force that dash out. Smelly Frenchman is pretty deep in Pie's backline and will fall there to Thegoris. A good chunk of damage coming out. The threats were just not able to stay with their solo laner. Their vintage though poked out a little bit. It might be hard for them to push into a Fire Giant here for Pie, as Shank is going to be able to pull Sean a little bit out of position. Tilly in a little bit of trouble though, as Young Legs and Shank are frontlining together looking for Chompy here, but the auto attacks are so potent, and Tilly is looking for Young Legs, has no way out of this one, does the Terror, and will fall there. Solo laner for support traded. Now Vemitron in so much trouble as Simply is back up and looking for him here. The ultimate block by the Nike, but still being chased down here by Tilly and by Simply. It's going to be enough damage. Tilly has a double kill, and it should be enough now for threats to put the pressure onto Fire. Blink out from Sean to keep him alive there, as Shank is just on a massive chase. Fire started up by threats. Will the wonderful day for Pie Boys be able to contest Sean and Vintage in the area?
It's exemplary map play from Simply.
Simply stunned out there. Carly ult forced very early now, targeting into Tilly. That Thegoris picks up Shank and Sean, able to jump out of that one. Tilly, very low health here. So too is Simply. Both teams are going to have to back away from this Fire Giant. Threat's just too low health to commit to it.
Yeah, Simply played the map so well before that fight. Starting the split push, forces the Zhong back, makes his way over slowly. Chompy realizes he's a level 20, 30 minute into the game ADC. Starts slapping people. The team fight looks so good, but they aren't able to do anything with the firefight there.
Yeah, that AFG a little bit hard to take, and I think that Sean and Thegoris played it really well. Sean just threw his life on the line basically to slow down the DPS onto that Fire Giant and just force Tilly out of position. And Thegoris was, also a late game hunter, so he's able to find a lot of damage right now. As we're seeing once again a bit of a brawl in this jungle, this time over the Pyromancer. This has been a very brawly game, as the ultimate coming out once more from the tier is going to force the Carly to be very low health here, as the Jonquil ult being popped, looking for Smelly Frenchman once more, just not quite doing enough damage. Double stun though coming out from Thegoris, from Young Legs. As Tilly forced a little bit low there. Simply not too healthy, but threats are decently healthy enough to very likely pull an objective here. Pie backing off a little bit.
Yeah, so back and forth. You feel like with any team fight, either team could take it either way.
I could not tell you who's going to win this game.
Yeah, if we look at the gold and the kills, like 34 minutes in, 1 kill separates them. What does that even mean? Nothing.
Not a lot.
Pretty much everybody is approaching full build. This game is outrageously even.
Yeah, I would say that this game at this point is coming completely down to player skill and how the teams want to take these fights. As Pyromancer started up once more by threats. The auto attack coming through from Chompy doing a lot of work with Vimtron's going to try to contest it. Threats will be able to secure down that Pyromancer and are going to pick themselves up a bomb. Simply a little bit low, but this next Fire Giant fight should speak volumes. Both teams are going to start walking their way towards it. Tilly boarding out here. Maybe a bit of a reset here as Chompy's returning to base though.
Yeah, well, you're saying that this game will come down to player skill. I think it's more team skill. And as a team, each player communicating well. And I have to say, I think Young Legs is doing an awesome job as a newer player to support. He's keeping up with some of the stronger supports. Shank is obviously having an impact in a different way, with more of the kind of like pick searching and the leading from the front. But there hasn't been too many misplays from Young Legs, and their team hasn't lost like drastically in any team fight so far. So yeah, well done to
Yeah,
Legs.
you're right. Young Leaf I mean, he's still the same level as Shank and basically on par with the build at the moment. You know, they're both 5th slotted right now, have those relics and starter items upgraded. So you're right that he's looking fantastic. I've seen heaps of great double stuns and big roots coming out from Young Legs as well, but this time it's going to be Smelly Frenchman, Fearless into the backline here. Tagora's taking a little bit of poke for his trouble there, and that might be the angle that Threats needed to start this fight. Just a little bit of poke, just any difference at all in this fight is what either team is looking for.
It's a gigantic beads get from the Hachi as well. It's so much easier for someone like the Nemesis or the Tier to now recommit and dive him again. And yeah, you don't want to have a carry down 1 beads at the very, very start of a fight around fire. It's no fun.
Absolutely, as we're going to see Vematron jump in here. He's going to be poked down by Chompy there and blink out from Sean, but he's just not able to find anyone there. Beads out from the Kali there as well, looking for Tilly in the ult pop very early by the Kali, but Vintage able to find Chompy in the backline there. Shank, he's going to push down Sean into a wall there, but simply in so much trouble as the CC is absolutely massive, and Thagoras is doing so much damage now. Vintage in a little bit of trouble as Shank is in the area, and Shank able to find Vintage there, absolutely massive. Now Vematron trying to take their 1v1 here with Simply, but the shield very potent here for the Nemesis. It's deep into the backline of It's a Wonderful Day for Pi. Thagoras solo health being chased down by both of the Disrupt players. Shank and Smelly Frenchman is going to break their ankles a little bit though with the dash backwards, but Tilly's in the area and Shank able to find that push. Tilly so low health, but Frenchman able to find the kill. Vematron though, counter kill onto Tilly. Big shutdown there. Smelly Frenchman not healthy enough to stick around here and take the 1v1 as Vematron going to jump in and force him away. Again, the fight peters out. It completely is, and neither team able to start this fire giant up.
Shank kind of just took it into his own hands there with the with the Kuzmo.
Oh, absolutely. He went, I'll do it myself, bro. I'll get these kills.
Don't worry, guys. I got this.
But I mean, looking fantastic here from both teams there. Is this a pause? Are we paused?
I don't know. Lobby crash.
Yeah.
Start the timer.
Start the timer, bro. Can't be
10
paused
minutes.
like this. Well, let's look at the game state that we're in at the moment, though. You know, we've just seen that both teams will absolutely brawl. Vintage is still chucking out heaps and heaps of damage, but Tilly is still top of the player damage charts right now, just doing so much work on this Baba Yaga. And we've seen that just the pure disrupt potential coming out at the moment from Threats is it just does so much work, and it really prevents Pi from being able to get involved the way that they want to and play the game that they want to.
Yeah, and we saw in that last team fight, Sean full committing the Bubba. It's not enough. He doesn't have enough. Like he he got relics, he got the house. I think there was some sort of shell in there. I don't know what that exactly might be coming from, but
Yeah.
yeah, he just didn't have the damage, which is kind of scary. Bubba is seeming to have quite a lot of control in this game.
Absolutely. I think Sean might have pulled the trigger a little bit early there. He blinked in and just didn't have anyone around him to target.
Hmm.
And it meant that he had to use those Bs to get a bit closer to Tilly and then force the ult out and that. So it was a bit awkward from Sean there to try to find that target when he wasn't 100% sure where Tilly was or what he was going to do there. And it meant an early Kali ult. But, you know, Sean at this point, it feels like he's playing almost like a disruptive frontliner himself. He's just trying to get in and prevent people from doing things so that then Vintage can come through and just rip damage himself as well.
Yeah, I think that is valid. Although
Although,
we are
oh,
back.
unpause.
Although
Yes.
I think the tier engage has better follow up from the Bubba than the Nike and the Kali does from the Zhongkui, just with the range. Like we see so much value from these big tier ults in, and then Bubba can just chuck a potion from so far away, as he would compare it to like what's the Zhong one called, the card. Like
Yep.
you're not getting anywhere near as much poke and range from that as you are the Bubba. But then on the other hand, you got a Zhong ult and a Terra ult if they get too close. So it's like these team fights need to be played so specifically for either team to come out completely on top, I think.
Yeah, you're absolutely right that it is definitely a poke war from the Threats and an all-in engage the Wonderful Day for Pi are looking for. And to be honest with you, you're absolutely spot on there that if we get a Terra ult on top of a Zhongkui ult and they're just able to pick up 2 or 3 early kills in that fight off the back of that, it's absolutely going to go the way of Pi. And I think that the way that Tilly's positioning is trying to avoid that potential coming through, and you're right, he's just trying to poke and prevent that from happening because it's a very fine line between, you know, a complete wipe here right now for Pi, or for Threat, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's also in the other way, in like the contrary.
Mhm.
If there's enough disrupt from the tier and the Kuzin that allows Tilly to just do as much damage as he wants, that's how they win the fights. Like, so it's very, very close. Yeah.
Absolutely, as we're seeing again, grouping around this Pyromancer. Gold Fury did fall there. It was an Oni Fury as well in favor of the threats. So these Oni waves are going to start pushing down, and it's a big rotation for Vematron to make over towards this Joy lane. Has his TP available, so it's definitely not a big throw for him to rotate over this, but very likely is going to mean that Pyromancer will go in favor of threats. Gives them a bomb in their back pocket if they want to try to secure down this Fire Giant, but I can't imagine that this is just going to be a Fire Giant play. It has to be a fight here. The Smelly Frenchman again showing his disrupt potential, ultimating down now, using it, looking for Vintage there. Great stun though out of Young Legs to keep his mid laner out of Hoss. Really important there. But Tilly just playing so far ahead, so too is Simply. They're just looking for kills now. Sean might walk up into a little bit of trouble here. Vematron has made his rotation back over. Shank will be able to pull Vematron into a wall there. A lot of poke coming out from Tilly as well. Great damage there as the ultimate forced out of Vematron once more as well. This is huge here for threats if they want to start up the Fire Giant. They've got a great angle on it.
He's doing so much damage with that potion, and he has a defense item. Like, that's crazy.
Oh yeah.
It's a bit of a shame. It's a bit of a shame to see that the bomb went onto the X-Ball though. I feel like it would have gone way more nicely onto a different god. Kind of a waste.
Yeah, you definitely would be happier having that on a frontliner, I think, right now, who can position to place it a bit better, or doesn't have to get themselves out of position to place it. I'd love to see the wards if we could though, because I'm seeing a lot of the time, yeah. Oh wow, that's a lot of wards coming out from Sean.
Sean's sweating. Sean's sweating.
He's sweating hard. But
huge 4 wards from the tier.
We love to see that. I'm just noticing that a lot of the time, Sean's trying to position around corners and find his way in, but he's just constantly spotted out, and we see, you know, the moment that Sean pops up somewhere, he finds a way around. Look, he's been pinged out there. Shank and Smelly Frenchman are there waiting for him, and they're not going to let this Kali get into their backline and just ruin Tilly's or Chompy's opportunity to play this game. And once more, we're going to see Shank find Vematron there. Smelly Frenchman poked out a little bit. Threats are really playing this quite deep into Pie's jungle. Now, though, pushing back towards this Fire Giant, they might just start it up as Shank is frontlining, waiting for anybody on Pie to walk up so he can pull them into the Fire Giant pit.
Yeah, it's so annoying as a solo lane play myself, like to get a little bit of your health bar chunked at the start of a fight.
Ooh, Young Legs in a lot of trouble here as the ultimate coming out from Simply is going to completely remove his protections there. Young Legs did fall, but Vintage able to trade out the solo lane as Smelly French, or the H solo lane, sorry, Smelly Frenchman will fall on Vematron into the backline now, looking for Tilly here as Sean is in, but the disrupt coming out from Shank is good. Doesn't matter, Vintage has a double kill. Sean has picked up Shank, and the chase is on looking for Chompy. The Aegis came out there. Vintage has a triple kill. The Gorus here as well, but Pie, I don't think they can start fire just yet. They need to reset.
No, too low. That's a huge team fight, but it's kind of similar to what happens when no one dies. Not too much comes from it.
Simply did burn his beads there, looking for the pickup onto Vematron. Huge, though, to wipe 4 members of threats off the map, and it might just be enough for Pie. They are going to start up this Fire Giant now. Thegoras and Vematron are here, Simply in the area, doesn't have Blink available anymore. The Fire Giant very slowly being ticked down. Vintage has made his rotation back in as well. I'd say that Simply is either going to want to pick off Feg or Vintage, or at least disrupt them for long enough to maybe steal away the Fire Giant as it comes down to about half health here. Vematron doing a great job just tracking the location of Simply. Trying to walk into this one as the Nemesis is absolutely terrifying right now. The disrupt coming out from Vem so strong and Simply has to walk away as the Fire Giant, the first Fire Giant of the game, and the enhanced Fire Giant is going to go the way of It's a Wonderful Day for Pie.
That's crazy. 42 minutes first fire. We've seen in one of the Threats games, I believe, they had 3 or 4 by 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, them doing a very good job there, just holding his CC, not allowing the Nemesis to enter the pit, because I feel like he would have very much wanted to get in there, but yeah, Vem did a very nice job there.
Yeah, if Simply could have found his way in, dropped his ultimate onto the Zhongwei or even Thegoras on that Hachi man, it would have been completely different. Now you've got Fire Giant and a Nemesis ticking into you with no prots at all. Simply absolutely gets a kill in there if that's possible, so really well done there by Vem, you're right. Was that beads on Simply or was that his bubble? Had to be his bubble, right?
Yeah, it says bubble.
Okay, cool.
I think we figured out what Pi need to do. They just need to let Legs press forward and then die, and then win the fight.
And then they win.
Yeah. Maybe let him go to sleep in his resting place.
If he's asleep, then the rest of the team can't be. That's really crucial. But it did work out like that perfectly, where Young Legs does unfortunately have to sacrifice himself for it. Wow, Shank tried to steal that with the Kappa. That's crazy. um, yeah, Young Legs unfortunately had to sacrifice his life for it, but you're absolutely right that being able to throw out that ult and then let his team just completely run through off the back of it made a huge, huge difference. And
Yeah,
now
and we'll see if this beacon is all it's cracked up to be. The extra structure damage is meant to be there to make the sieging easier, and we saw there was a little bit of a nerf to the phoenixes, or I'm not sure if it was all structures, but there's some nerf to that. So I'm interested to see how this siege goes. I think both teams have reasonably strong siege defense and like offense. Obviously, Baba Yaga is insane for defense.
yeah, Siege defense
Yeah.
monster on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And there's definitely a lot of potential here, as well as, as you've mentioned, there's heaps and heaps of disrupt here for the threats available. Simply, absolutely able and willing to take a 1v1 with anybody on It's a Wonderful Day for Pi 2. As we're seeing right now, Sean and Vem are trying to get a split down this mid T2 tower, while the rest of the team are on the left side, potentially looking for a Phoenix.
Lovely map play. The double split in mid, getting to get drawing over the tier, and as soon as the tier leaves, they just take that left tower.
And as soon as it gets exciting, we go into a pause.
Yeah.
Unfortunate, but
Do you think that the Pi squad has the has it in them to get this siege off correctly? The Bubba's going to be too much of a hassle.
it's a bit hard because at the moment they don't have any bombs available. They've got the backdoor protection shred onto these Phoenixes, which is fantastic with that enhanced fire giant, but without a bomb, it's going to be very difficult for Pi to push into these Phoenixes, I think. And with the capability that Tilly has, the disrupt that the rest of his team have, it might be very, very hard for for Pi to push in here without some excellent map play in mid and left side.
Definitely. I'd much prefer the It's a Wonderful Day for Pi comp on the defense rather than on the offense. Their go buttons with the Terra ult and the Nike engage and the Hachi ult, like that's such a sick defense comp. I'm not too sure how it's going to go actually sieging. So yeah, it should be pretty interesting.
A lot of buttons available to press right now, as we're seeing. Pretty much, in fact, all relics are available for all players here. So it is going to be very likely a massive brawl underneath these Phoenixes here. Very curious to see, how they opt to play this one. We know we saw in that Fire Giant fight that Young Legs going in and popping his ult, even if it meant his life, just meant that there was a little bit more disrupt down, and a lot more capability there for his team to go in and finish the job. So I would expect Young Legs to just go in here.
Yeah, we did see also Vintage just pop off with the damage in that fight as well. So
Oh yeah.
credit to him.
I mean, look at the player damage in this game as well. We've got the Baba Yaga at nearly 50k, Vematron about 3k less, and still Vintage up at 40k on this Zhonghui. Hachiman, Thagoras 39k. Shank has 34,000 player damage on Kuzumbo right now.
That's crazy. Maybe they just shook hands at the start of this game and they said we're going to farm our whoever picked us in the fantasy league points. So
It's
it's a
working.
gentleman's agreement.
It's working quite well.
Yeah, Sean's doing the wards. He might not have the damage, so he'll still get some points. So don't worry about that, guys.
Absolutely. And I mean, despite the fact that Sean is the second lowest player damage in the game, he's still at 24,000 damage on this Carly, so he's still putting in a lot of work.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I think the struggles that Sean's been having actually getting the kills hasn't really mattered. Like getting the last hits hasn't really mattered too much. He's been doing a good job of getting all the damage off. So
Unpause come through, and it's a hard commit into mid. A little bit of damage coming out in the Smelly Frenchman. Everybody from Pi now potentially going to rotate or force their way into this mid Phoenix. It's a big 5-man grouping, so not looking for much map play here. Vematron's going to back. He has his TP available for it, so very likely just going to run it in as soon as he's back here. Minions pushing in the right and left side.
How you even meant to siege into a 6v5? He has the Kappa.
He's got the Kappa. It's over. Theg, though, making a bit of rotation over towards the left side here. Is going to clear out this left wave. Will be matched here. Shank and Smelly Frenchman making a rotation over as well. Pi playing this one slowly. They just need to find an opportunity in.
It'll be interesting to see how they split.
Lead kick from Sean. Finds Tilly there, and he's going to force his way into the back line alongside Vematron. The Sunder, though, is thrown out, and so too is the Nemesis ult. Really big commit there from Pi, and they lose a lot, but they are able to pick up that left side Phoenix. That's absolutely massive. Big ultimate pop there by Vintage. He's now down. Left Phoenix is gone. That might be enough. Pi are going to back off. Pretty happy about that one.
Yeah, I'm surprised that went so well, seeing Sean fall so low and Vem trading so much of his health bar. But I suppose that distraction of these two picks that they're just dangling over the other team allowed the rest of their team to just quickly get that left Phoenix, and then as soon as anybody tries to engage in, they just get a big terror ult in their face. So what are you going to do?
Absolutely. I mentioned it earlier. It was kind of a meme when I said it, but it's becoming more real now that this Kali is almost just being a disruptive frontliner, and just distracting people, um, on the threats team and preventing them from being able to compete.
So I can't I can't imagine how long this whole set's going to go. If one game's 46 minutes deep and it's still even. There's like one Phoenix, the difference, and that's it.
Yeah, this is absolutely crazy. It's, the Fire Giant is now finished here for Pi, but that left Phoenix being down for threats here does make a big difference. Someone's got to be there to protect that side of the map.
It's such a good Phoenix to have.
Oh yeah. Pi have to be happy about this situation right now. They're going to have a much better time around this Fire Giant than they did brawling for 10, 15 minutes around the last one.
Yeah, I like this play as well. They have the map pressure at the moment to be able to just kind of siege his tower. They don't want to go too deep. See if they can get it. If not, fall back, but not expend too much on this last remaining tower.
Yeah, that is really crucial right now, is not expending too much. Simply, though, is split pushing down the mid T2 tower. And it's surprising that the call hasn't been to just take this fight right now while it's a 4v5. Sean instead opting to back and prevent Simply from being able to split push down. The ultimate coming out from Smelly Frenchman. He's pulled the trigger, but the ultimate coming out from the Zhongbai doing a lot of work. Smelly Frenchman's going to fall very early here as the ultimate coming out from the Terror as well, providing so much extra damage. Chompy forced to use his beads and dash away here. That's a huge kill for Pi, and it's lined them up perfectly for this Fire Giant.
That's so rough, and as we see that player go down, we got minions falling into the Titan room of threats, so this is a very promising position for Pi.
Very hard to play into this for threats right now. They don't really have a split push angle to change this either. Someone going to have to clear out this wave. You're right, at the Titan. It's going to be Simply who backs and opts to deal with that one. And now Pi have made their way over towards the Fire Giant. They've started up. Shank already down to half health here, just trying to find a way in. But Vematron and Sean doing a great job zoning out. The Kali a little bit low health here, but Vematron, that shield is just completely preventing Shank from walking in right now.
I don't think there's too much more zoning he can do on a Kuzumbo. You can't really stop him from getting in completely.
Oh, the ultimate ripped there by Sean, able to find Tilly. Another blink coming out as well. Out of Vematron, looking for the backliners here. Fire Giant will go to Pi, and with Tilly down, this might be a full push here from Pi, looking for the next Phoenix.
Yeah, you can see coming out in the strength of the Pi draft is just this constant brawl that they have. Like so many different avenues to engage and so many different ways to look at taking down their opponent. I suppose the engage that we keep seeing from the threats of the tier ulting in isn't really working as well for them, and Pi just has so many different ways that they can engage at so many different times.
Absolutely, we've just seen pretty much every single player on Pi has made an engaged play as the bomb's going to be dropped here in mid by Sean. Will take out that mid Phoenix, and right Phoenix is going to fall as well. Simply though, able to trade out Sean for it. That's an absolutely massive pick right now, but the ultimate pop by the Zhongbai, he's looking for a little bit of damage into the backline here. Smelly Frenchman is going to try to frontline and prevent this from happening, but Vintage has found Simply, and he's looking for more big push from Shank though into the wall. He's going to quite a lot of work here. Shank, low health, but able to drop his ultimate. He might just be able to find Vintage. He is. The weakening popped here. Smelly Frenchman in a little bit of trouble, will be able to dash out, but is it enough? No, it's the Gorus dashes in and finds the kill. Shank trying to get Snake out of position, but it's not going to be enough here. Snake finds himself to double kill. Pi walking into the Titans room. They're going to try to end this right now. Threat.
Tilly's coming up. Tilly's coming up. They have
Tilly
to do something.
He's coming up. Chompies might not be enough as the Titan goes down, and Pi take the first game in this set.
Awesome. Sick game. Really fun
Sick
to watch.
Really
I felt
close.
like either team could take that at any point.
Absolutely, that was very exciting. It is going to go game number 1, 2. It's a wonderful day for Pi, but fantastic by both teams there, and really, really good to see the competitive nature that both of these teams are looking for here. And I would expect that we're going to have a mini meta forming here. A lot of different spicy picks and bans coming out to try to deal with the strength of the picks that Pi had put out there.
Yeah, I really liked some picks in this game. I think obviously Tilly looked awesome on the Bubba with the 57k damage. That's huge. Vematron almost doing the exact same amount, 56. I really liked those two picks. I think, as we saw, the threats had a little bit of trouble getting into the late game with the engage. Shank was doing a good job with like the disrupt, but maybe they could look away from the tier for a slightly different avenue for their frontline engage from the threats. But what about yourself? What do you think?
Yeah, look, I think regardless, this Baba Yaga has to be banned because you're right. Tilly did 57,000 play damage on it.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, threats definitely need to be able to find a different angle, maybe shake up this tier a little bit because typically he's a very strong disruptive backline god, and we saw him doing that with the tier. But just the turtle potential or the quick burst potential that Pi had in that game just meant that they were very easily able to deal with the hard dive that was coming out there.
Yeah. So you could also say that the tier did do a very good job of getting in there. Possibly it could have been down to the jungle pick. Maybe there wasn't enough assistance because you need to have good synergy between your jungle and your support and your
Mm,
solo when you're diving backlines. Maybe the nemesis could be an angle that they want to change. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
absolutely. We should very shortly be getting into P's and B's for game number 2. Very curious to see what the switch up is going to be and where this game is going to go.
I think 100% Bubba ban all their trolling.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I
Even
think.
even though they won, like
Mhm.
you still have to take that. That's why the game went for so long. Yeah, first ban.
First ban, Baba Yaga. We will see the Kali banned away here by the threats as well, so don't want to deal with Sean on that god. Definitely provided a lot of dive potential as the Emoja and the Raven as well banned away. I like this Emoja ban, just keep Shank off it. He's too potent on that god, and it still provides a lot at the moment.
Hmm. I wonder where he goes. Oh, they don't want the Kuzan either.
Yuzenbo. Wow.
Can you do the Kuzanbo? Hey! Yeah.
I like the Nike ban here as well. It probably leads threats into a first pick or an early tier. They're going to hover this Terror right now, though, and it will be
Maybe they
locked
want to
in
take
here.
it from Legs. Legs had a very nice performance, very solid. They want to see what else he's got, I suppose.
Wow, immediately the answer is Marticarus locked in here for Wonderful Day for Pi. This could go to mid as the Ram is now being hovered as well, and they will lock that. So
Oh,
Marty
lovely to
Ram,
see.
very, very strong stuff here.
Oh, they get the Ao Kwong on the other hand. So was this banned away from them or did they
hmm
ban it?
I believe that threats actually were the ones that banned it, so now they want to pull this out alongside potentially this Hachi Man, which will also be locked in here. So it's a very both of these team comps
Hey guys,
showing
want
a
to
lot of strong
swap?
gods.
Want to
Yeah,
swap drafts?
true. Let's just swap drafts, boys.
uh, Emir is very nice if that is a lock to kind of not allow the Hachi to get away as easily when he's on the horse. That wall is so annoying when you're piloting the mounted archery. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like
I
that.
love a Yumi pick here. Terra often has to get herself out of position to find her CC as well with that dash in. So Ymir wall to force her into an awkward spot after dashing in is really potent. As we're going to see the tier banned away here by the threats and the Discordia here by Pi.
So are they banning that from themselves? Possibly.
Possibly, possibly. Very curious to see what solo lane they want if they're going to get rid of the tier and Guan Yu here.
I
Maybe
think
this
there's.
Terra could go towards
Oh,
solo lane.
that'd be insane. I don't think
Mm,
so.
neither do I.
They see
But it'll
those
be
are two good
exciting.
bands from Pi focused towards mid of threats of Disco and the Bubba. It's good to see them off the table.
Yeah,
Might be
absolutely.
Raijin.
Raijin locked in
Damn.
here. Very likely to go to Tilly and mid for the threats. Bit of a spicy pick coming out there. I don't mind seeing this god
Yeah, he'll
seeing a bit
proc
of
Terra
value.
ult. He'll proc Terra ult real easy.
He will, and a relatively safe god as well has the ability to jump out and mez anybody in that jump as well. So very, very strong here as the Kamazots is going to be locked in for Wonderful Day for Pi alongside this Sun Wukong, a god we haven't seen in quite a while either.
Oh, we do know that Sean likes his Sky God. We've seen him pilot it very well in the past.
I would be absolutely terrified if I were threats right now looking at Sean's Kamazots. So survivable. We're seeing a lot of these gods that are quite survivable and have self-healing and that, like the Raven, like the Kamazots, just being able to provide a lot of work. And Cullen locked in here to clean up the draft here for threats.
I don't know if that's what they
Interesting team
need.
comp.
I feel like there's so much heavier dive from the the team. I don't know what I would have liked to see out of the threats in solo, but I'm not sure if the Kakullan is it for me.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting pick. I wonder if it's just to deal with potentially the Sun Wukong or this Kamazots. Um, I don't mind Kakullan. He's very, very brawly, and that seems to be the direction that threats want to go in here. It almost looks like they just want to be able to send 5 people hard into the back line of Pi right now and just full commit to a fight. And Kakullan does that well, but you're right that, they've really dropped sort of the disrupt team comp that was working for them so well in game one. and Pi might be very happy about that because they've got a very hard to dive comp here.
I can definitely see Sean giving the Raijin, the Aokwang, the Hachi some real big problems. He can immune the Aokwang ult if he likes. He can chase the Raijin dash. He can probably keep up with a Hachi horse. There's lots for Sean to do in this game, so I think he might be a very important player.
Yeah, a lot riding here on both of the junglers. I think this Arkwong, is basically the hyper carry pick that threats have gone with, and requires simply to really, really be able to get a lead in the early to mid game and be able to carry that through to the late game because otherwise, Sean's going to run away with this game on the bat.
hmm We see the we saw that last game, Pi had such a long-winded engage with the Terror. It's going to be interesting to see if that was really the important pick that they had. If threats can extend these engagements with the Terror, or if that was just legs putting the enemy to sleep. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, he's great at doing that. That's what Terra Ult is meant to do, right? It puts the enemy to sleep, at least when Young Legs is piloting it, as
A
far as I
gray
know.
sleep, gray
Yeah,
sleep.
Grey Sleep, that's the one. Um, Very, very curious to see where this double ADC comp goes, though. You've got Marty, who is, obviously majors are quite strong right now, but Meticulous mid is still really, really potent. It's a little bit different from the Zhonghui that Vintage piloted last game, but the damage potential that these two gods, this Ram Marty, have together is just insane. Like, they're just going to be standing together in the back line and can prevent anybody from diving them, I think.
But then, where's their secure on an objective? On a
That's true.
they're Are they going to be playing off a Ymir, or are they just going to be never going to actually pull the objective themselves and looking for a fight, or just baiting people on fire? Because I myself have played in many a team comp with no um, with a double ADC.
Yep.
You really lack that objective secure, and if you're 50-50ing objectives with no secure, it could be a really easy pickings for Tilly.
Absolutely. The Raijin is a little bit hard to secure on as well, but I mean, his ult does provide a lot of CC potential, so it's still better than a double ADC secure, that's for sure, or
Hmm.
even be your ult secure. um,
I think
but yeah,
we'll be we'll be seeing this Pi team just look to take fights with the Emir and the Wukong just going in hard seeing the enemy. If they look to walk into the objective and then just their double ADC just shutting them down, I can't really see them trying to go for a secure on an objective.
we actually did see last game as well. I think it might have been the first goal Fury of the game was pulled by Pi, and it was a bit of a 50-50 play as well. But they did manage to secure it because they had decent objective secure. So if they try to do something like that this game, threats have shown that they will get in there and they will prevent something like that from happening. And now with this Raijin, you're right that it's a completely different story.
Mm. We've been seeing that the Gorus has had many an issue with his biggest enemy, the Fire Giant. So we'll have to wait and see if that's going to happen again this game, or if he's going to be able to win that 1v1 with the Fire.
We do love a good Theg versus Fire Giant 1v1. I'm also excited to see a Theg versus Titan 1v1 in the middle of a lane at some point today.
Those Titans slap, man. Like,
uh,
you can't, it's like pretty difficult to 1v1 them.
I would pay good money to see that Titan, as it's out, take a kill onto anybody right now. That would be fantastic.
Are you
We
saying
will.
that there's bribes involved in the league?
I shouldn't have said anything, eh? All I'm saying is that my fantasy team needs to do well. I'm going to have an awful season.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Um,
whilst looking at these two team comps though, which team do you think have it for game number two?
I honestly prefer the comp of Pi, but I think that threats aren't going to be a pushover. They're going to fight to the very end like they did last game.
Yeah, I look, I'm excited for another long, brawly, close game between these two teams right now. I think that it definitely speaks to the competitive nature of this particular season, and yeah, it's exciting. I have to say, especially with the team comp that Pi have put together here. This Marticarus, we've seen it do so much work before. Very hard to dive God. Um, so yeah, I'm keen for game number two here.
Yeah, if this Ymir can catch the Terror out before she can even get value from her ult with double ADC, they should
Ooh,
be able to melt her. So I think that could
yeah,
be a good way to look for it.
Absolutely. You know, we've seen Ymir come in and out of metas before, and I definitely think that in a meta where you've got these the Stygian beacons,
Hmm.
space control means just so much right now, and Ymir War provides a ridiculous amount of space control. So I really like this pickup right now, as we will go into game number 2 here between Threats and Pi. Let's see if Threats will be able to take us to a game number 3, or if Pi will be able to clean this one up in a 2-0 sweep against the top team.
I was kind of curious to see whether or not uh, Pi, like which player would be taking which hunter. It's probably I can't really see Thegoris playing the Martigoras. Like he's more of a traditional ADC player, from my knowledge. But I kind of wanted to see him on it just to see how it would go.
It would have been fun. It definitely would have been fun, and I wouldn't put it past Vintage to grab that Ram in mid as well and just have the time of his life with it.
Yeah, Ram mid's so fun.
Look, I definitely think that Vintage is going to put work out on this Marticorus as well. And Theg, you know, we've seen he played the Hachi Man last game. Um, he's a very competent ADC player, and putting him on quite a safe god like this Ram, you know, just means that, like last game, he can just sit in his lane, maybe be a little bit behind Chompy,
Hmm.
but he will catch up. He will get into the rotating into these fights. He probably won't die throughout the lane. Maybe a big gank will kill him, but yeah, having him on a safe god like this Ram is just massive for Thegoris right now, I think.
We see both ADCs go for the arrow start
Mm.
this time. We had different starts last game for both hunters. I'm no ADC player, but does that mean they're going crit? Does the arrow mean that they put a Deathbringer in their build somewhere?
Look, it definitely brings up the potential for crit going into that diamond arrow angle later on down the line. It would surprise me. I've seen a lot of the builds focusing quite hard on penetration, as maybe a little bit of lag here early on uh, in our spectate, but that's all right. Yeah, I don't know. I would be surprised to see crit, but if you can sneak a Deathbringer in there and take someone by surprise when they don't have a Spectral just yet, or they can't grab a Spectral at the time, then, you know, either of these ADCs can start chunking. It terrifies me on a Ram as well, who has those Astral Arrows and could just rip through frontliners.
100%. I think the Ram, even early, can bring so much pressure. Ymir Ram, such a easier lane to have. I think it should fall towards the favor of Pi, but look, I'm no ADC player. I'm no support player. Duo lane's so far away from my lane. I never know who wins matchups in the early duo. So
Um,
maybe you might.
Maybe I should. You would think that I would know. Yeah, Terra has definitely got a bit of a rough level 1 to 2 sort of area. Level 3, when she's got that full kit available and can, you know, use that root combo and a stun as well is really strong. Ymir and Ram have a lot of decent pressure. As soon as Ymir hits level 2 and has that freeze, it's just he doesn't necessarily have to freeze someone, but if he walks up to you, you've got the threat of being frozen at any point, and that's absolutely terrifying as a hunter.
Hmm. Do you think there's much? I think these two teams will be taking this pretty seriously in this pause. I don't think there'll be too much goofing around, but you never know. These guys have been known to be some jokers.
Bit
Do
of
you reckon
a
they're thinking about what they're planning to do for the rest of the game, or they're just having fun?
look. I definitely think that that both teams are. Ooh, bit of poke coming out there onto Chumpy. That both teams are really focused in on exactly how to win this one. You know, they. I don't think that either of these teams want to drop this second game here. Um, so it definitely is going to be a very focused up match, and I would imagine that. You know, the threats have talked about exactly what they want to do with this comp, where they want simply to get to, and it looks like a very late game comp that they're going for here. So oh, freeze out into Chompy as well. Look how potent this Ymir is right now. It just provides so much. And very similar to what the Terra does as well. Normally you're looking for those slowing autos and that, but Ymir provides that and a stun off the back of it as well. So I really like this pick right now.
If you're trying to box Ymir in the wave, you're just going to lose so much HP for no reason. So I do like the way that Legs is pushing forward and just pretty much saying, give up lane or you die. Like,
Absolutely. Early rotation from Simply, though, looking over towards this shield buff as Chompy's down to half health at the moment. Young Legs of Theg have pulled back a little bit, probably aware that Simply's in the area. They don't push up with, you know, Young Legs doesn't have an escape, so, you know, very easy to kill here, even on not a great early game jungler like the Ao Kuang. not having an escape can make all the difference, but Sean has made his rotation over towards the right side of the map. A lot of damage coming out in the 1v1 here. Smelly Frenchman will be able to pick up Vematron for first blood. Sean able to get that counter kill, but getting that first blood first is absolutely massive there.
Yeah, there's the revenge.
That's really,
last
really
game.
huge. Yeah, the revenge for last game. And, while Simply has put his energy and his pressure over towards this dual lane side of the map, and he did pick up that shield buff, Sean has just been farming. He goes over towards solo lane, he gets a counter kill, and it's meant that Pi, despite the fact that they didn't get first blood, are actually up in gold right now, forcing the beads out of Chompy there as well. Great wall into the freeze there by Young Legs.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty silly to fight a Kukulkan. I'm very excited to see if the spectate will work, but I think that other set will be pretty juicy as well. So either way, it's a pretty big win.
Either way, we've got something excellent on our hands, and some great sets this week as well. We're seeing definitely teams that are very close to each other on the competing with each other, as we've seen with Threats Purse Pie, how close this has been. Jack Martin and Bike Find is very close on the ladder as well, as we see Sean making a rotation over towards this solo lane once more, looking to put the pressure back onto Smelly Frenchman. No way out here, as Sean will be able to pick up his second kill for the game onto Smelly Frenchman. Shank putting some pressure over onto this purple buff in dual lane. Simply's made a rotation over as well for this invade. Great freeze there from Young Legs. It might not be enough though, as that will be
Shank's buff. It's just Shank's buff.
There's always been Shank's buffs. They should have known that.
First respawn on purple does not belong to your team.
No, Young Legs nearly did a great job stealing away Shank's buff there, but it's Shank's buff at the end of the day.
I think that's a great gang from Sean as well. Seeing that there was a little bit of a pressure disparity in solo, just to come over and get them more comfortable in that lane again is really, really good jungle play from him.
Yeah, love that. We've seen him go over there twice now, and I love the way that Sean has been playing this game so far. In fact, this entire set so far, he's just been absolutely running it in the jungle. Now a bit of a lead over Simply as well, who's spent a lot of his time on the duo lane side of the map instead, trying to put the pressure up. Well, basically do the same thing on this side of the map where Wonderful Day for Pi have their pressure.
It's interesting to see how each jungler prioritizes the map differently, but I think making sure a Kukulkan doesn't get too big is a very smart idea. Having anybody piloting a large and in charge Kukulkan is extremely potent. So yeah.
Wow, and we're seeing what that looks like here as well as said Kukulkan, Smelly Frenchman, did just tick up to level 5 and has already poked Vematron down. This is hard for Vem. If he's able to get a full soul lead, he did just buy that, so he's going to have a decent time staying sustained in this lane. He now has it's probably a level and a half lead right now over Smelly Frenchman because of those rotations from Sean. So once he's able to stay sustained, he's probably going to have a bit of time. But you're right that if this Kukulkan was able to stay ahead or even, and was able to rotate in and brawl around these beacons, it's a completely different game. So I like Sean keeping him down here to the best of his abilities.
Definitely. And I think this is where the experience of a player like Vematron will shine. You may be ahead, you still don't have any defense. This is where you're going to have to start prioritizing whether you want to pressure.
Sean looking for Tilly. They got a little bit of poke out now. Shank, target of some aggression, but this mid lane should be very safe right now. It's a big resource used there by Sean. Maybe just trying to look to put a little bit of pressure onto Tilly and scare him away a little bit here in the mid lane.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to do, how much damage you're going to do that early, so it's damage check. So, and then we see Pryo going towards the blue again from Sean, really trying to help his solo laner.
Yeah, Kukulkan survives just fine without a blue buff. Doesn't have mana, so that's lovely. But yeah, I like that Sean is going to be taking this away regardless because he knows that Smelly Frenchman will give up this blue buff. He doesn't necessarily need it, although secured down there by Smelly Frenchman. Tilly's made a rotation over as well to put some pressure on. But just preventing the XP from going in favor there of Smelly Frenchman is important if Sean was able to do that. In the meantime, Simply, again, stealing away this purple buff from Thegoris.
Yeah, well played from Simply. He sees the pressure on the other side of the map, just goes, ooh, free purple. Very nicely noticed.
Yeah, we talked about it at the start during picks and bans of this game here, and we kind of said that with the picks with that Alkwang and this Kamazots, we knew that this was going to be a very jungle-centric game with Simply and Sean specifically, and we're seeing that they're both putting in a lot of work to keep it that way. Big invades coming out, big, opportunities for Sean looking for kills and that. So, yeah, definitely like seeing both of these players get involved across the map right now.
It's way easier for Kamazots to make their mark early game as well, so I don't mind Simply on the Alkwang, kind of just looking for the farm where the Kamazots isn't. It's probably a smart play.
Yeah, as long as simply, he is farming right now, and as long as he can continue to farm, and is able to stay even or ahead of this Kamazots, then we're gonna have a terrifying Alquang on our hands soon. He's a little bit behind Sean right now, but I don't think it's enough to be too worried about simply at this point in the game.
Yeah, and you see the path he's going with his build that probably will turn into a Boomba's Spear. And late game, full build, Alquang, Boomba's Spear, you just get minced no matter who you are. So yeah, I'm kind of keen to see if he can just eat some people, really.
Yeah, really, really potent stuff there. I'm yeah, I'm absolutely terrified to see what this Alquang is going to be able to do going to the late game. Execute potential is massive, and Pi have a team comp with a little bit of healing on it. They've got Vemetron has his Soul Leader, has his ult. Sean has his healing in the Kamazots kit, so it's not easy necessarily to find and execute. Sean once again is rotating over towards the solo lane, looking for Smelly Frenchman. Vemetron just intelligently taking these 1v1s, forcing Smelly Frenchman up, and again, Sean rotates over. This time gives a kill over to Vem, but this is absolutely huge here, and it's just keeping Vemetron ahead, keeping Smelly Frenchman down, and now this Cullen, we talk about the brawl potential he's got. Simply stunned out here. Great wall there from Young Legs as well. The bees were already popped. I don't think this is going to commit into a kill as Shank is in the area, but really, really good wall there. This Cullen is going to be so far behind though, Most.
Yeah, no vision from the Kukulkan on that side of the map. We saw last game in a 48-minute game, he placed 4 wards. Now he's getting ganked on cooldown, and he still isn't placing any wards. So I think if he picks that up, he'll have a lot better of a time in this lane. But until then, who's stopping a Kamazot's just coming over and just continuously ganking you?
Big dive here by Pi into the mid tower, looking for Tilly, but really well played there. Tilly had his ult and he used it to fear away the dive. So the CC coming out was just enough to keep him alive comfortably. Vemetron actually made that rotation over from the solo lane as well. So he's decided to put his lead. He's 2 levels up on Smelly Frenchman right now. He's put his lead into mid. Didn't end up getting anything for it, and that's meant that Smelly Frenchman is going to get these bastions and get a bit more pressure in though. Freeze coming out from Young Legs as that Sunder came down from Shank as well, looking for Young Legs. Tilly, a little bit of poke here. This is very, very deep map play coming out for threats. They might be punished for it too. Simply's made the rotation over, but Vemetron's still in the area. And now here comes Sean looking to take the 1v1 with Simply. Great wall placement there from Shank that was going to prevent anyone from walking through that one. Smelly Frenchman a little bit behind, but still here to take a bit of a brawl. Both teams going to disengage now.
Yeah, it's so nice as an opponent to Cullen to see him rotate and not be gigantic, because he's so hard to deal with when he's even on par with your own solo laner. So I think, yeah, this map play so far in the game with Sean's priority towards solo lane is really giving them a good chance for playing how they want in the jungle, because they can't really get punished by a huge Cullen.
100%, yeah. I mean, despite the fact that at the time, Smelly Frenchman was 2 levels down on Vemetron, he still was able to rotate in and make an impact there and prevent a team fight from happening. From his team being engaged on there. So despite the fact that this Cullen is behind, he's still a potent god, and it continues to put the pressure onto Vemetron right now. Obviously, the healing coming out for this Sun Wukong is going to keep him safe in lane. Now, comfortable 11.5 up, but still this Cullen could have an impact as the stun going to come out from Shank there onto Vintage, going to force the ult out of the Martigras as well around this right side mid camp. Trying to secure this one down. Threat should be able to lock that one off, and that ult being down for Marty is really dangerous right now, actually, because there's a lot of CC potential on the threat side.
Yeah, it's so safe. Like, I think it's such a kind of cheesy ability, personally, the Marty ult. You're just trying to bait people until you can just go, nope, and just like get out of there for free.
Get out of there, and also provide a lot of damage in the meantime for it.
Yeah, so to have that off the board is really nice, but he is going into the Transcendence and the Soul Eater. So the cooldown is coming. I don't think the window will be that big for his ult to be down. I'm not sure really what the cooldown is myself, but I think it should be up more often than not.
I would say so. Great map play coming out here from the threats as well. We saw Simply rotate over towards the solo lane, forcing Vemetron to back there and have to TP back in, giving Smelly Frenchman some pressure. And in the meantime, Shank put the pressure over towards the purple buff once more, and a bit of a team fight going around this Gold Fury right now. A lot of damage coming out as Chompy. He's able to find Vintage 4 straight off the bat there. Young Legs has to find his way out of this one, and Sean had to use a bat out of hell as well. Threats very likely to start this Gold Fury now. They've got a great position around it, and no one from Pi can contest.
Yeah, I'm sure in that team fight you just hear the entire team shouting, Martichorus no ult, Martichorus no ult. And that just allows them to just walk in there. What is his beads going to do to a just a dive, nothing.
So this hard dive comp, you're right, that Threats have put together for themselves, and now we find ourselves in a even game state once more with the Gold Fury going to Threats.
Yeah, that was a nice fight from Threats, noticing their advantage, and now they're all here, beacon up, perfect timing. Beautiful.
Yeah, this beacon will also go in favor of Threats, no contest here by Pi, and I think that this is the point where they're realizing where their team comp kind of lies in comparison to the Threats comp. They have to be so much more careful with their ultimates to the boys from Wonderful Next Pi, because we saw Marty ult down, hard commit to the Marty. You know, we'll see it again if Kamazot's ult is down or Ram ult is down. It's going to be a hard commit to those guys. Double freezer coming out from Younglegs, simply in a lot of trouble here. He's able to find his way out of that one as Younglegs dropped his ultimate. Great wall though. He's going to trap simply inside of the Marty ult, and Younglegs is going to be credited with that kill. Excellent play coming out from Younglegs there to lock in the jumper kill.
Very nice. This is just awesome showing so far from Legs on the Ymir. I haven't seen it too much myself around this pick for him, but he's showing that he has picks in the locker that you should be scared of, because right now he's just commanding space on the Ymir.
Absolutely. I'm loving seeing Younglegs and a lot of the members of Pi have been piloting gods that we don't see too often at the moment. You know, we're going into we are in a new meta right now where things are a little bit different. The map is quite different, so seeing gods like this Sun Wukong, this Nike, this Ymir is really exciting, and you know, the Pi boys are playing it fantastically and getting a lot of advantage out of that.
Yeah, I think Wukong is a slight under the radar strong character at the moment. He is in a pretty good state, so it's good to see Demetron, someone very comfortable on the Wukong, pulling it out.
Sean is going to make a rotation over towards this dual lane to try to secure down the shield buff, but in fact, taken there by Chompy by the looks of it. And Shank trying to steal away this purple buff, but shouldn't happen this time with Sean in the area. Kagura should be able to get his purple second one of the game after that first one that he's guaranteed to get at the start. So important to be able to lock that one down. And we're seeing the impact that it's got because Kagura is currently 2 levels down on Chompy. Still safe though, hasn't died yet.
Yeah, it's pretty similar, but I didn't even notice when this happened, but there's a tower missing in solo.
Rotating over towards this solo lane, Vermitron very low health will be able to get up onto the cloud. Simply not going to hard commit to this dive, but this right side tower will fall. You're right that the great wall again from Younglegs is going to facilitate Vintage to go in there. Force Beads and the Jaeger out of Tilly there. Beads popped by Vintage to try to hard commit to Tilly here. They will be able to pick up that kill off the back of the Bat Out of Hell as well, but the rotation coming in from Threats as well. They want to be able to take the fight freeze coming out from Younglegs once more. Chompy has made a huge rotation over, and a lot of damage coming out into the Pi boys. They're just trying to find a way to get out of this one. A lot of ults already forced. Vintage will go down. Vermitron's made a rotation over as well. Great disrupt here to prevent Simply from being able to get into the backline, but stun coming out as well. Chompy, great job there with that dash. It's going to be able to lock down Younglegs. Great triple freeze coming out from Younglegs. Not going to keep him alive though, as Threats did lose one member, but they managed to pick up a huge trade there on Vintage and Younglegs.
I think we're going to have a repeat of last game, guys. Like, this is just going to be outrageously even with fights going both ways, picks flying. Like, these guys know what they want to do in these team fights. And it shows, like, people can die, but they still get
legs out of trouble there. And look, Pi committed a lot there to be able to get those kills. We saw earlier in the set that as soon as Matikar's ult or Kamazot's ult were used, then those two were in a lot of danger to the just brawl potential that Threats have. But in the meantime, Thegoris decided, I'm just going to push down a tower, steal the purple buff, and he got himself into a decently better position. He's still a bit behind on Chompy, but not nearly as far as he would have been.
Yeah, well, they're on par with their builds now. Both got Kins online. I remember when we were looking at these picks and bans earlier, I said that Sean is going to have a very nice time against this Owl and this Rajan. He can just...
Started up here by Pi. Younglegs already down to half health. The Matikar's ult being fired off very early, looking for damage, and Younglegs trapped around so many members of Threats. He's going to fall here. The snipe's coming out from Thegoris, not quite enough as Chompy surrounded by a lot here. But Smelly Frenchman deep in the backline, able to find one. Chompy very low health, but Tilly able to knock Thegoris off the map. Now, Threats are in a great position around this Gold Fury, despite Pi being the one that started it up. Vem trying to find his way out now as well, trapped between Simply and Shank. The damage coming out into Vem so strong as the Sunder comes down as well, and Tilly going to chase into it. Execute coming out from the Alquang. Simply credit him with that kill, and they're going to go back and pick up this Gold Fury now.
Yeah, I hope Sean can find maybe a tower in middle, or there's no way he walks in to contest that, so I think it's the right option just to split push and give, because...
8 gold.
Oh. This is a lovely rotation from Smelly Frenchman, just to stop that.
Yeah. I like that quite a bit. Normally you would have your solo laner zoning away from that objective, but Smelly Frenchman smells out Busy Boy Sean in the mid lane there, split pushing down that T1 tower, and goes, yeah, I'm not letting that happen. There's no one else for me to zone. I'm going to stop Sean from doing this. So really good stuff there.
Perhaps you could say Frenchman smelling?
Yes, sorry, that's what I meant to say. That's his correct name, is Smench... Fuck.
Smench.
Smench Fram Smelling. It's been 5 hours that we've been streaming for. I'm so tired.
Yeah.
The threats are going to make their way over towards this Pyromancer and start up simply, already chunking a fair bit of damage into this one. Pi in the area, not going to be able to stop it though as threats secure down that Pyro, grab themselves a bomb, and start to really secure a bit of a lead in this game now.
Yeah, I think that it's not a bad idea from... Ooh, no, it's not a bad idea from the Goris just to stay in that lane and catch up. Because it seems like Chompy is rotating and the Goris is just caught up. Like,
Yeah.
solid decision from him.
I think we talked about it in Picks and Bans or very early into this game that, you know, you put Theg on something that he can just be on an island on, relatively survivable, like a Ram who can jump up in the air. Threats might put some pressure onto him, but once Chompy starts rotating out and Theg can stay and keep farming, he will catch up, he will start to get ahead, and we're starting to see that now. Is actually it's going to be Theg that rotates into this fight a long time before Chompy over the Stygian Beacon. Smelly Frenchman very much frontlining here while Vemitron was up in that cloud form. Shank in the area. He's going to be stunned out here by Vemitron, taking a lot of damage in the wall. It's really good for Young Legs. He's going to keep anybody out from being able to protect Shank there. Now Smelly Frenchman in the middle of it all. He's going to be able to push out, but not quite enough. Vemitron credited with that kill. Tilly falls as well. Double kill for the Goris, and now we see why Theg has been farming for so long. He's in a great position to rotate in. Gets his team ahead. Blink out from Simply Low. Able to find that ult. Connects with Young Legs. And he might even look for a little bit more here. Has the pressure potential, but 4 members of Pi are around the Stygian Beacon, and they will capture that one. Good trade out from Simply, though.
Yeah, definitely. I think Pi's looking very clean. At the start of this set, I remember saying that I thought Threats were going to have the advantage.
From them, able to find the stun onto Chompy under the tower, not able to get in the horse in time. Sean finds that kill.
Great CC chain, great down there.
Yeah, really good. Now it's down to Shank to protect this T2 tower here. Vintage currently taking it up and Simply in the area. Doesn't have his ult available, but has a ton of damage regardless. Sean, though, alongside Thegoris, able to pick up the kill on Simply, and now Shank is the target. Thegoris double kill, and Pi have completely turned this game on its head. Now they have a 2.5k lead. Backing off towards wow, Smelly Frenchman, who was a bit out of position here, rotating around, is going to be stunned out by Vemitron. The damage coming out from Vintage is so strong. Smelly Frenchman barely surviving that one with Tilly rotating, but wow, Pi are looking a lot better than they just were.
Yeah, it's kind of suspicious from Threats. They're just going in one by one and like hoping that they can 1v5, which is, I think they know better than that, but maybe it's possible tilt from falling behind, or just they are looking for a desperation play, but I think that's not the right decision.
Yeah, you know, you kind of see some low health bars and the screen goes red and you go, you know, maybe I've got an opportunity here, you know, as Shank, if he's sitting in a right position and he can bait people into the tower and bait and engage onto him, then Simply can get him behind. But yeah, it was just that so many ultimates were still available there for It's a Wonderful Day for Pi, that they were really able to counter out that aggression and able to pick up that T2 tower as well. So Pi are in just a great position right now.
Yeah, and if you look at the comp from Pi, every god except Ymir has such a good stall ult. Like you can go up into the sky on the Wukong. You can go up into the sky on the... there's a theme here. You can go up into the sky.
All of them except for the Ymir go up into the sky and just live.
Yeah, so it's hard
that.
to die. It's hard to die with a team like that.
Ooh, Sean, very early use of the Bat Out of Hell there, trying to survive a stun out of Shank while Tilly was around that corner. Doesn't take too much damage for his trouble, but that's a big go up into the sky ultimate that's no longer available here for Pi.
Write that down. I'm writing that down.
Go sky, good.
Yeah, okay.
As the support that goes into the sky, man.
I think my team's playing one of these teams next week, so I'll put that into the...
Write that down. They like to be in the sky. Absolutely, she'll cook something up for you. Threats, though, they've got this position around the Gold Fury right now. They know that the Bat Out of Hell for Sean is down at the moment, so they could position and try to pick up this gold. Taking a lot of time around it, though, and it's giving Pi a decent bit of leeway to get themselves out into these lanes and get back to this Gold Fury. So if it is going to be this only Fury started up by either team, it'll be very highly contested by both of them.
I don't know if either team really want to pull here, because they don't have very deep vision. It's all on their own side of the jungle, so...
That's true.
Yeah.
It looks like Shank has come back with a few wards to clean up a little bit of the disparity that's going on here, but still, Pi, well, neither team, you're right, really has the vision around this to be able to start up the objective comfortably. I think as well with the way that Young Legs has been playing this Emir, he's got such good space control on this god right now that
Definitely.
a good wall can prevent Chompy from getting out, can prevent Shank from getting out, or even Smelly Frenchman. So it's really hard to start up this objective in front of Young Legs right now. Instead, though, it's going to be Young Legs that starts it up. Gold Fury being picked up by Wonderful Day for Pi. Sean and Vemetron zoning out Smelly Frenchman and Shank. The rotations are coming in slowly here from Threats. A great wall again there from Young Legs to zone out any members of Threats. Tilly's made his way in though. They picked up the Gold Fury this time, but Vintage 4 doesn't care. He's going to start the fight himself. Wonderful Day for Pi picked up that Oni Fury. Now Chompy in a lot of trouble. Frontlining Beads, Aegis pop. Vemetron looking for him. Up into the cloud he goes. Simply in the backline will be picked up by Theg. He was looking for a good dive. Wasn't quite able to find the pick, and Theg still low. Tilly able to credit himself with that kill. Theg though finds himself a double kill as Smelly Frenchman falls. Shank into the backline. Very low health, and Theg up in the air finds a snipe. Double kill for Sean, and Pi walk away with a 4-for-1 trade. The Gold Fury, and they might even path their way towards this Pyromancer. Absolutely huge for them here.
Yeah, that's massive. I was looking at the positioning from the Raijin at the start of the fight, and it looked like someone was zoning, but Vem was only zoning the one, because as a solo laner, you have to kind of pick one person. The person you think is going to have the biggest impact, and you just have to make them not play the game. But then the Raijin came around the back still, and yeah, that was an interesting engage from the Raijin there.
Yeah, I think it comes down to, I mean, you pointed it out earlier, gods that can go in the sky and just delay. And we've seen that so many of those ults on Pi allow them to get up into the air, prevent, any really strong dive from coming out, especially from a god like Alquang, who really relies on being invisible during that time and getting the element of surprise. If you can go up in the air, the rest of your team can turn on that Alquang. You've suddenly completely invalidated their dive, and it just makes for an excellent turtle comp for Pi, who have now picked up Fire Giant, Pyromancer, and a 6.5k lead in this game.
Yeah, Fire Giant, by the way. We said maybe
Fire
a
Giant,
Pyro Pool. Maybe a Pyro Pool. Psych. No, let's just go straight.
No, it's Fire. We do those.
Yeah. And there was no show at all. No challenge whatsoever.
Yeah, I think Threats know that they can't walk in one at a time right now, or they just get punished for it. We've seen it a few times now. And Pi, I don't think they're going to let up at all on the gas. I think they want to keep pushing and try to end this game as soon as they can. Yeah,
I know players like Sean have a very good grasp of how to push their advantages. With this experience they have, really from any role, I'd have good faith in them that they know how to push a lead.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, we're seeing that Young Legs piloting this Emir has so much potential. He should be able to push a lead, although Simply's made a rotation over towards this solo lane, trying to find Femtron, forces him up onto that cloud. So still Threats, they're not quite willing to give up this game just yet, despite Pi having the lead right now. And, they continue to push quite aggressively and position quite aggressively. The question is, will they be punished for it by Pi, who have just the momentum behind them right now?
Yeah, and it's interesting to look at the Alquang build. We saw in the previous set, Clout going for like a full attack speed lifesteal build. And we have Simply here going for full damage with a poly. Personally, I don't really play a whole lot of Alquang, so I'm not entirely sure what the best option would be. But I know auto attacks are so strong at this state of the game, so maybe the auto attack build would be better.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit hard to decide on, really. I mean, we've got a War Flag coming out as well, so yeah, it's a bit difficult. But we are going to see the engage coming out Simply, maybe a little bit out of position as the bad out of hell comes out, and he's being engaged on hard. The Aegis already popped, and Sean able to find that kill. Now Shank trying to zone away Sean here, but in the meantime, Smelly Frenchman falling low. The snipes coming out from the Gorus as well. Will he be able to find it? Yes, they are clean snipes. Shank, the target of the aggression next, able to find that double stun. Tilly going to turn it around off the back of that as well. Vemetron up into the cloud. In the meantime, though, left side Phoenix will fall. Vemetron deep in the backline looking for Chompy now. Great stun followed up there on a huge wall onto Shank as well. Won't be able to allow him to get out of that one. Pi have the momentum behind them. Double kill for Vintage. They're not going to be able to end here because of the Titans rushing down the lane again.
Troll. That's so troll. They can end into a Raijin.
Maybe they're positioning for it. Maybe looking for this mid lane here. Young Legs very low, and if he falls, they lose a lot of their frontline potential. Vemetron is here though, and it will be the mid Phoenix targeted out. Them looking for Tilly, gonna blink in, find the target form as well. Force the beads out of Tilly there, and the jump. This Raijin forced back to the fountain. 2 Phoenixes down, and it's a wonderful day for Pyre in a great position right now.
Vem is top damage, by the way.
Oh, that's huge. He's managed to maintain that despite there being a Raijin in this game in 2 ADCs, or 3 ADCs.
All of his, 14,000 worshippers on Sun Wukong have paid off. It's official.
It's official. He's managed to make it work.
He's done
found
it.
the meta that it does it in.
Yeah, well, honestly, I'm very impressed with him, Wukong.
Yeah.
The tiger stuns he's been finding have been punishing Shank. Burning relics off backline, yeah. He went into that fight,
Absolutely.
got so low, forced him to ult,
Yep.
still went in. Like, he just trusts his team. And I suppose when you're playing a god like Sun Wukong, you have that ability to catch someone out. Yeah, it's perfect.
I think that this Wukong, again, it's a bit of a spice pick here. It's not something we've seen in a while, and paired alongside, again, a spice pick like this Ymir, it's going so well. And I think that just the pure amount of CC that Vam and Younglegs can put out allows, like, sort of just, it allows Sean, Vintage, and Theg to just pump numbers into the front line, the back line. It doesn't matter who of threats. And it's working really well for Pi so far.
Yeah, like, you're also seeing a whole lot of damage come out from Vintage in mid. He's full build now, so he's going to be shredding even harder.
Yeah. Oh, great wall again from Younglegs. Is going to force Simply to get over that one using his invis. Pi now. They're actually going to push this right side T2 tower. Have a little bit of a play of cat and mouse. See who rocks up to this one before the Fire Giant. It's 28 minutes now, so this could be an enhanced fire, but I'd say that it'll spawn a little bit sooner, and Pi are probably just going to rip it down as soon as they can.
It's interesting. In the first game, it was like 45 minutes before someone did the first fire.
Mm-hmm.
So it shows that Pi are in a lot more of a driver's seat this match.
Yeah, they're definitely running with their momentum here, and it almost feels like threats aren't going to be able to rock up to this one. You've got Simply trying to farm down in the left side. Chompy is split pushing down left side as well. You know, Pi could probably wait for this to be an enhanced Fire Giant without any threats at all. Femitron doing a great job zoning. They're not going to wait for EFG here, though. Would have been about in a minute and a half anyway. And actually going to back and reset, and interesting that Pi are going to wait to push out for the end here, or to push out for Right Phoenix.
Yeah, like, it would be a bit risky to just like shove. I reckon it probably would pay off, but there's a very high chance of that going. Rajan's so potent on defense. He's even picking up the Fizz D now, seeing that there's no magical damage coming out from Pi, but that hasn't seemed to be an issue so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, I don't mind Pi waiting a little bit, regrouping, getting some farm, making sure their fire waves and left and mid are pushed up a bit before they run down this right side Phoenix. It has meant that left Phoenix is going to respawn quite soon, and maybe the waves that are pushed up already for threats will hold off that Phoenix falling immediately. But it is still a split push here, angle from Pi. They're looking to separate out the threats team a little bit, just like they did last time. Maybe get Sean deep into the backline, or turtle in when Simply tries to dive in, like they have been doing all game.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the
Right Phoenix already down.
I'm not sure if the Kakan pick is really bringing what the threats needed here, with like facilitating the dive from the owl. Like, the Kakan isn't getting into the backline and burning or like pressuring at all. So
Well, he has managed to find his way in now, looking for Sean, but that's not quite the target that you want to be going for. So much healing available for this Camazotz Femitron. Meantime, in the back line inside of this left side Phoenix, Zagoras able to walk up now alongside Younglegs, who's looking for walls and freezes. Left side Phoenix is being targeted down, should fall very quickly, and down it goes. Mid Phoenix on the respawn, but already Sean in position to try to knock this one down, and the rest of Pi walking their way over. Want to make sure they take a safe angle into this one, but still want to make sure they get it off the map as quickly as they can. Bomb drops, auto attacks in, blink in though from Simply, trying to find something until he's going to go up into the ult, looking for Vintage, but once again, it's gods that go up into the air, and up go Vintage, up go Sean, and they're looking to drop in a lot of damage. Shank forced back, Smelly Frenchman, Chompy, all of them are inside of their Titan room right now, trying to defend, and it will be enough to push Pi back for now, but they might just reset and push back in again soon.
yeah, I'm not sure if they can really force the end, it seems, without a pick, or at least one. Like, there's stuff to fall back to now, like Oni, but yeah, they just have to play a little bit more slowly and make sure that they don't just throw.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see this drag out to the next Fire Giant and EFG. They do now have Oni Fireways pushing down in all 3 lanes, as well as Fire Giant on 5 members, so this is probably, other than having an EFG, the best opportunity that Pi are going to have to end this game now. Sean looking to take the 1v1 with Simply, forces a lot of damage out onto the Alcon as well, and still chasing up for even more. The 1v1 going down, Simply forces the beads out, but Sean takes that 1v1. That's a huge pick right now for the push for Pi.
Yeah, very clean pre-beads on the owl banish, and that's all it takes. I think we've haven't seen a whole lot of the Camazots. Maybe people are forgetting how much damage he really can do.
Mhm. And his chase potential as well. You'd think that Alquang in the jungle would be able to kind of get away from a Camazots like that, but just didn't have the opportunity. And Artillery very far out of position here, might be caught out as Vintage, Young Leg, Sigoris, everybody has wrapped around here looking for him. Bees forced out of the Raijin, and that's
Oh, that's
two
such a
massive picks
big
here.
pick.
Pi have only 5 minions in 3 lanes right now, have picked off 2 members of threats, and they're looking to push into the Titan room for the end. This could be the way that the first seed gets dethroned. It's a wonderful day for Pi. They're pushing into the Titan room, looking for the damage. The wall is down from Young Legs. Titan starting to be engaged on double ADC, doing a lot of work. Shank trying to keep his Titan alive for as long as he can, but now he's able to dash as Spat Out of Hell comes out. Up into the air goes the Wukong. Vintage picks up Shank. A little bit more damage will do it as Chompy falls down and the Titan goes as well. Game number 2 and the set go to It's a Wonderful Day for Pi, and they're going to be able to take the first seed out of threats.
There we go. That's all it takes. All you need to do is pick 4 gods, and then you can win any game you want.
Write that down immediately.
But no,
Immediately.
in all seriousness, I'm actually very impressed with the boys from Pi. I think all of them played brilliantly. Legs had a very good showing on the Ymir in that game, honestly commanding so much space and just demanding respect. I don't know if they were giving him enough respect, but really controlling the pace of that game.
Yeah, 100%. I think that was really fantastic. Huge ups to Young Legs, who, we haven't seen playing a lot of support prior to this season, but he came in piloting gods like this Ymir and just providing work. Sean had an absolutely massive game in the Camazots, 8-1 and 11. Fagoras, 8-1 and 7 on the Ram, just excellently played there by It's a Wonderful Day for Pi.
Yeah, I don't think anyone on the threats really had that bad of a performance. It's just like small victories, kept pushing forward from Pi, and just gradually took control of the game. I don't think anyone was really throwing on for Pi. Sorry for threats.
For threats, yeah. Well, it is a wonderful day for Pi, and that is going to close out our matches for the night. It has been a very long one, and we have covered some very close sets tonight between this one, Threats versus Pi, that Pi have taken in a 2-0 victory, and the Jack Martins versus Bygority Finance 2-1 in favor of BGF. So it's been a very exciting night indeed.
Yeah, that other set was honestly hype. I did not expect the finish the way it happened.
To go the way that it did, yeah. Well, big shout outs to everybody for helping out with this one. Zenomir on the camera and managing the new picks and bans system. Amazing artwork as always, coming out from Gangster Sexy. Thank you to Moss for joining me on the cast and the stream as well. It was a long one with just the two of us doing it all, or alongside Zen on the cam. So
It was
thank you,
fun. It
boys.
was fun though. Hopefully next week we can get the win graphics. I want to see them.
We'll see. We'll see what we can do because they're hype. It's just copyright.
Just like I don't know, speed them up a little.
Yeah, true.
That get
That'll do
rid
it.
of copyright. I think.
That'll do it. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to everybody for watching, everybody for helping out. Just a couple of quick things. If you are still around, you can type !charity in the chat to go and visit to go visit our donation page to help out in the fight against motor neuron disease. OCL are taking the fight, and we want to be able to do everything we can to work our way into being able to help out with the research and do everything we can against motor neuron disease. As always, if you're still here, make sure you go check out our socials and our Discord as well if you're interested in anything else at all. But otherwise, thank you all very much for joining us, and I think that we'll jump into a raid now if there's anybody to peep. If there's anybody streaming. Devane streaming.
24-hour stream, real quick. Let's continue.
Please, God, no. Please don't do that to me. 5.5 hours is enough. Last week was 6, so we've cut it down by 40 minutes.
Man,
All right,
that's
Garn
tiring.
Raiden. And we're good. Oh, I rated her right at the end when she was